Happy Sunday. Welcome back to another Gig Drivers live show. I don't even know what we call this thing anymore, but happy Sunday to you. Hope you had a great weekend. Hope you had a great week. Football season is upon us, and we got some topics tonight. And tonight's live is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to change things up a little bit, and I hope you guys enjoy the idea that I had tonight. And we'll see how many people want to be involved in the live show. So, if you're here in the live chat, appreciate y'all very much. Appreciate the people already in here. Go ahead and give me a thumbs up in the live chat so I know that you guys can see and hear me okay before we can begin the show. So, let's go ahead and make sure all this is good. I feel like that's good. Happy Sunday. We started about 30 seconds late, but that's okay. I think we're gonna be just fine. Jeremy, appreciate that very much. The first thumbs up in the chat. Hit that thumbs up on a like, comment, leave a comment. The first question I'm gonna ask y'all, okay, because I want to take a pulse of where we're at here, okay? As people are strolling in. Okay. Happy Sunday. If you're driving out there, don't respond. Just drive and be careful. But if you're not, what marketplace are you in? What city or state are you representing? I'm going to give some shout outs right now for the first few people that are in here. Appreciate y'all very much. What marketplace are you repping? I want to know just to gauge the audience right now. Where are you doing your gig work? Okay. And I'll give some shout outs as we do that. Okay. Um, no sound. Oh, there has to be sound because somebody can hear me, right? Okay, so Lakeland, Florida, New Jersey, San Antonio, Illinois, STL Metro. I knew that about Jeremy. Boston, Massachusetts, New Jersey, near South Bend, Indiana. Vegas is in the house. Toledo, Ohio, New York. Okay. Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So a couple of Floridas, a couple of Illinois, a couple of Indianas. Keep them coming in. What market are you representing? There's a reason I'm asking that question. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. Um, Laundromat folding up clothes. Right. Oh, Juan's folding up clothes. That's what's up. What's up? Florida. I think that's the third or fourth Florida. Um, Texas. I think that's the first Texas that I've seen. Okay. So we got people from the southeast, I guess, right? Yeah. Southeast, East Coast. We got some, Vegas is considered West Coast, right? We got some down south. That's Texas. We got some Midwest to Illinois, St. Louis, Toledo, Illinois, another VA, East Coast, Milwaukee. Okay. I got a Prop 22 person in here. All right. So that's Cali. What else? Keep them coming. I see 40 people in here. I want to see 40 cities and states. Hit that thumbs up as well. Appreciate that. California, southeast of Los Angeles, Minneapolis. It says Gigstar Debbie Delivers. Gigstar Debbie Delivers. I like that name. That's what's up. Give you guys another 30 seconds or so to let me know what marketplace you're representing and how you're doing as well. Okay. Tonight's show is going to be topic driven, but it's not going to be. I got a few things on my mind. I'll share some things that are happening this week. Um, Cedar Rapids, I see that. Okay, okay. Kentucky, Cincinnati. Okay, got it. See it. I'm in Kentucky slash Cincinnati area, streaming and dashing all the time. I'm about live in an hour. Love you, vid. My inspiration. DoorDash, Dash and Dave. What up, man? Dash and Dave. I've heard that name. How you doing? So I got a few things. I'll go over my week. I got a few topics on my mind. But then tonight's show is going to be about you guys, whoever's watching, whether there's 40 of y'all or 100 or 200. Anybody's going to have the opportunity to come on the live and give me a topic that they have on their mind, something that they want to ask me, something that they want to ask the community, the people in the live chat, and it's going to be interactive in that way. And my idea right now is to bring in one person at a time for 5-10 minutes, or maybe longer, depending on how the conversation goes and whatever the topic is, and then possibly, depending on that as well, bring in other people possibly. But I want to give you guys, the audience, the people that really help make this channel, an opportunity to bring up a topic, a concern, something good, something bad, whatever it is. You, as a channel viewer, get to decide some topics tonight. Now, I have a few. I'm going to go over kind of the weekend review of some of the videos I've made, things that have happened. And if you want to talk about those things, that's great. But I want to give you guys the opportunity to pick some topics tonight. Okay? What do you have on your mind? What questions do you want to unlock? What questions do you want to bring to the community? What information do you want to share? And when I put the link in, it's open to anybody. The lurkers, the people that just want to be known, not on anybody can come and click the link. Okay. If you're blocked on the channel, you won't see the link, so I can't help you there. but I unblocked a lot of people about a year and a half ago. So there shouldn't be many people left that are blocked in that regard. Okay. Um, all right. Canada Club Club, what up, what up? Electrical EV maker Lucid Group has secured a 300 million investment from Uber Technologies. Yeah, it's happening. Just hit the like button. Appreciate that, Chicago. President 100% boot, scoot, repeat. Bike, scoot, repeat. I'm sorry. You hear the new Uber Eats test where they're testing blocking people from being online. I haven't heard anything about that. I have not heard anything about that. Okay, so we'll let a few more people come in. Appreciate y'all. Hit that thumbs up to help the algorithm. I appreciate that very much. This week was kind of an average week for me. Didn't make a ton of money, didn't work a ton of hours. I made what I needed to make, and I was okay with that. Most of it was Instacart. I think I only did one, maybe two catering orders this week. It was a light week with that. I missed $197 catering. That kind of sucked, but that's kind of how the app goes sometimes. And we did a couple $100 on Uber Eats, maybe 150. I mean, not a lot on Uber Eats. And I think I did one or two roadies all week long. Very Instacart heavy. 75% or so of what I've made came from Instacart shopping. Costco, Schnucks, and a couple of Aldis and maybe one other merchant. But mostly it was Instacart this week. And I'm okay with that. Most of my earnings most weeks is probably going to come from that unless there's some really good catering orders there. Or unless I'm doing something off the books, off the apps. Money can come from those things as well. But this week was okay. As far as content, obviously, I made the activation policy, the deactivation video from Walmart. I have not yet heard from them, but the 30 days from the pre-arbitration lawyer that works with Walmart hasn't gotten there yet. That's what she said. Within 30 days, somebody else will reach out to you with the final decision. Haven't heard that yet, so that's okay. However, I do know there is somebody that wants to come up and talk about some of that deactivation stuff and certain legislation that's going and the who's liable if a driver gets back on the app, but they actually should have been deactivated within that meantime, right? So that's a pretty interesting topic because I think some of us maybe we haven't thought the process the entire way through. And who then becomes liable? So I know that's a topic that people might discuss. Legislation is something that I've been talking about for the last several weeks now, because I believe that there's some legislation that the ideas are actually pretty good, and I can see that they're going to be impactful and helpful because I do believe us as misclassified independent contractors. I believe in my heart that's what we are. I believe anybody with a brain would probably agree. We're misclassified because we're really not independent contractors. The apps don't treat us that way. However, I do think some things that are wanting to happen, I'm just not aligned with. And the great thing about having a channel, having an opinion, and living in this beautiful country is we can agree or disagree, and we can have opinions based on how much we work, where we live, how we might be impacted by it. And, I'll stand firm. We need certain metrics in the gig economy. And if people want to strip all the metrics, it will be the wild, wild west. It will be anarchy. It will be not good, and it will level the playing field. And everybody is just the same, and nothing you cannot stand out in any way on any app when they all have metrics. I think it's actually a really horrible idea. So we can talk about that as well. I've been talking about it, and I'll continue talking about it if it's a relevant topic in the community. And right now, it seems like some people are talking about metrics and they're this and they're that, and we need some of them. It doesn't mean, and the only metrics a lot of us like to talk about, we only talk about DoorDash, we only talk about AR because that's the worst of all of them. But there are other apps, there are other metrics, and we can't just, because we don't like something, doesn't mean we just get rid of everything. You know what I'm saying? Because we don't like one app in the way that they do it, or two apps in the way they do it, when there's actually tens of hundreds of apps. And I really think some of us are the calculations aren't computing all the way and thinking about bigger picture. We don't want to win the war. I don't want us to win the war. We're trying to win little battles, and I think some of us are misguided in that. So that's the topic. There's obviously some updates. So DoorDash has a new update on the interface of the app. I've seen that. Some of you guys are talking about in the chat, talking about Uber Eats and some updates with that. So, anything that you guys have, we can talk about. I made a video about Prop 22. I did a community post. 70% of the voters, and I asked, just vote if you're in California. So who knows if that's really true, but I would imagine, it's an honor system here, right? So I would imagine most of those votes are from California drivers. 70% said that overall, that their earnings have been better. I can't remember how I worded it, but that their earnings have been better with Prop 22. And the whole, with the exception of one or two comments, all the comments that I'm seeing in the videos, and this mirrors my experience with meeting drivers in person, is that they like it, and they and many of you guys saying, I wish it was in my state, right? So we could talk about that as well. I think there's both sides of it, but 7 out of 10 drivers that voted on this channel page said that, or in California said that my earnings are better because of it. So at the end of the day, when we sign up for a job, independent contractor work, if you're running a business, if you're a W-2, dollars are king. And most things can be forgiven if you feel like you're being treated fairly with a monetary amount of money. Because I'll tell you this right now. If you were making 50 bucks an hour, well, we might all complain about something. Sure, we're humans. We do that, right? There are people that are making millions of dollars throwing or catching a football that complain about a contract, So we're always going to complain regardless. But if you're making 50 bucks an hour, you don't care. Does it matter what somebody calls you, how the app treats you, as long as you can still kind of, it doesn't. If you're making 40, 35 bucks an hour, most of you guys would be just fine. And the things that you'd have to do, the tips wouldn't matter as much. If you're getting some kind of something every 2 weeks, it's like, oh, here's a $300 check for this. Jose, appreciate that, man. First super chat of the day. Appreciate that super sticker from my man, Jose. So I think we have to remember dollars are king. Money, when we're trading our time for money, doing any kind of job, for most people, that's the most important thing. And everything else is under that. Because if the app treated you better but didn't pay you enough, would you still work the apps? If they showed you every single thing, all transparency, I'm a true independent contractor, I got all these things, but you didn't make good money, who would work the apps? So dollars has everything to do with, do we stay on the app? What apps do we give our time to? How do we feel about it? What kind of experience do I have in the day? That's the underlying thing. And that's not no groundbreaking news for anybody here. Hit that thumbs up. We got 69 people. Let's get to 100. But the dollars is the most important part of what we do for most of us. Some might say, well, I want to be safe. I want to be sure. I completely understand that. But I'll tell you this right now. When you go out and you spend all day and you only make $100, how do you feel? Feel pretty crappy, right? But if you go out and you spend the same amount of time, we'll call it 8 hours. I think the average person that's full time is probably working 8 to 10 hours. I think eight's normal. That's a normal work day for the average Americans, 8 to 10 hours. If instead of making 100, you made $400, you'd have far less to complain about. You wouldn't care if somebody tipped you as much. You wouldn't care if you had to do 4 cases of water up 2 flights of stairs a couple times that day because you came home with $400. You'd feel great. I don't know how many live streams I've watched, how many videos I've watched. I made $400. I made $500. I made $300. My groundbreaking day. And everybody smiles and everybody's fine. Dollars is the most important thing to most of us when we're trading time for money. Not all, but the majority. What is yours? What do you value? I'll open up the first question to you guys and I'll read some comments before I share the link. What do you look for out of the gig apps? Any of them. Catering, shopping, rideshare, food delivery, last mile. What are you looking for? When you turn on an app, what's the thing that you want to achieve that day? What's the top thing that you're looking for? What's the most important thing to you? I'll pause and read some comments. What up, Reed? How you doing? Richard, Adventure One. I see Real Talk with Roy's in here. I Speed, Demon, 14 hours with a lot of sitting around. Probably. But if you're in California, you don't have to sit around. You could take a $4 order going 5 miles, and you're going to get paid more than $4 for that eventually, right? And they have that there. Once again, I'm not in California. I'm not saying I want that kind of stuff in St. Louis, in Missouri. However, we have to understand, 70% of people said their earnings have been better. 7 out of 10. That's pretty overwhelming. Making money, says April Bean. 300 miles should be at least 237, not 108. Miles to money, says Surge. Okay. Miles to dollar ratio. Okay. Real Talk War says you're looking to pay your bills and support yourself or family. Facts. Mr.BetonYou, let's go. Appreciate that. To gain a competitive edge. Okay. Can you gain a competitive edge if there's no metrics? I think it would be literally you cannot. If some people would get their way and metrics were gone, there's no competitive edge you'd be able to, nothing. There's nothing you could do, right? 36 cent. How is that Spark can deactivate bots and not Instacart? Who knows? I'm not sure. Hourly / average mileage at the end of the day is what matters. So let me ask you guys this. Trader, what up, bro? How you doing, man? Appreciate you. Trader, what do you when you turn on the apps, what do you value the most? What are you trying to achieve? What do you want from the apps? Is it money? Is it this? Is it that? I see miles to money ratio in here 2, 3, 4 times. So if you go out and you don't see a lot of opportunity for whatever reason, but your miles to money's $5 per mile, which is really good, right? Really good. You know, you're doing $5 for 1 mile and you did it 5 times when you were out. So you just made, quick math, $25 and you drove 5 miles. Is that a successful day? For me, that would not be a successful day. If I spent any amount of time and all I made was $25, no. If I made $100 and drove what, 20 miles, hey, that's good, right? But if I only made $100, that's not covering it for me, right? So is miles to money the main thing we're looking for? Mindset, okay. Dash and Trader sent me. Oh, what's up, Dash and Trader? That's why we got over 100 people here. He was probably live. Hey, let's go check out Pedro and him. Boom. He brought some of his piece. Appreciate you, bro. Love you, man. Hope the family is good. Hope the school is going good for the girls and everybody. With playing the field even, the bad drivers go away. I'm not sure how that makes sense. Inform me a little bit more. Currently, I'm working, says Richard, mainly expedite and deliver that. And what I'm looking for is consistent, reasonable offers. I don't have a huge goal since I'm retired, but I like the consistency. I love that comment. Miles to money, says Trader, and order minimum. So maybe Trader's order minimum is $6, $7. I don't know what it is, right? What is your guys' order minimum? Put them in the chat. What is the minimum you'll do? Is it $4 for a mile? $4 for an add-on? If you picking up a McDonald's order and then they add another one, but it's $4 for 0.5 miles, do you take it? Do you not? If your minimum $6, do you take a add $4 for 0.5 miles? Going around the block a little bit? Do you do that? Do you not? Do you stick to your minimums? I'm somebody that my minimums can be very fluid depending upon where is it going, what's the merchant, can I add this on? I just accepted a $10. Now they're throwing me a 4 for 0.5. So really, I'm going to the same place. I'm just turning a 10 into a 14 bucks. I do those. I don't mind them. I don't mind them, but I understand the minimum point, right? I get that. $4. Okay. All right. Jessica says $4. All right. Base not woke says $12 is the minimum. Okay. All right. 15 or better at $2 per mile, says Jordan. What apps are you working? If you're waiting for $15 Uber Eats and DoorDash, that could be tough. That could be tough, but it can be done if you've got other apps and other ways to make money. Okay, some good answers in here. DoorDash is cracking down on migrants. I mean, listen, they shouldn't crack down on migrants. They should crack down on people that have illegal accounts. You could be a migrant and have a legal account. So I'm not sure what that comment means, but you could be migrant and be legit. We understand that, right? Just want to throw that in there. Just disclaimer, right? The most amount of money I can make, says Monkey, I used to care. I made too little doing miles to money. Miles to money to me is an old way. I understand why people utilize it. For me, what I've realized in doing this enough, 20,000 plus deliveries across all the apps, at the end of the week, if you know your marketplace, your miles to money will work out. I say that because if I'm so worried about that, I might be turning down good cash flow orders that get me to my goal quick or position me to be somewhere else where that's okay to be. I don't mind driving 10 or 15 miles if it makes sense. And then where it drops me is still somewhere else where I can turn another app on or work out of that zone. So I don't worry about miles to money as much because when you have a catering app or you have an Instacart, Costco run where you're doing a $60 going 10 miles, you're at $6 per mile right there. So I can afford, if you're looking at miles to money, I can afford to do a $30 run going 15. That's only $2 per mile, right? Because the average then now goes from 6 to, okay, boom, now I'm at $4 a mile. Boom, I just made 20, 60, I made $80. Like, you understand what I'm saying? So for me, that's something that's very fluid. Okay. Very fluid. Chicky Chops, what up, what up, what up? Appreciate the 115 in the building. Hit that thumbs up. My minimum depends on how busy it is. That's great. I think that's called adapting. You know, if it's really slow and your minimum's 8, but you see a 6 and you're sitting in you're sitting in a parking lot of that McDonald's or whatever, right? It's like, oh, it's going $6, but my minimum's 8, but it's going down the street. Hey, get the, especially on Uber Eats, because they can feed you after that first one that you accept, right? I've seen that many times on that app, right? So sometimes you got to let the algorithm know, hey, I do want to work. Like, let me just take this, and then they might give you something else. So I like that you're able to do that. I think that's very important because we got to remember we're trying to get to a number, most of us, whether it's a daily number, a weekly number, and the more that you do, the more that you can compromise, the more that you can adapt strategy, you're probably going to get to your number a little bit quicker, right? And my brothers and sisters out in California have the Prop 22, so the way that they do the gig apps could be completely different than most of you guys in the chat, unless you're also in California, right? And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I used to think differently about it, but you know, as you acquire knowledge and talk to people and meet people and shake their hand like I've done in that state, you start to understand the inner workings of it. And it might not work for everybody, but it doesn't mean it can't work for the majority of people. 7 out of 10 saying that their earnings are better. Like, numbers don't lie, right? Feelings do, but numbers don't, right? All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and share the link. Tonight's show is open topic. I laid out a few things that have been on my mind and others. But if you have something else, feel free. When I put the link in, I want to bring one person in at a time. The floor is yours. If you have questions, if you have a topic, if you want me to answer a topic, I'm all game for that this evening, okay? So let me go ahead and get this ready for you guys. Appreciate y'all. While you're waiting on that, hit that thumbs up. And I appreciate all the love and support. All right. And happy Sunday to all the people. If you're still out there working, if you're on the East Coast, it's what, approaching 10:30. Midwest, it's almost 9:30. If you're on the West Coast, it's 7:30. And if you're in the Mountain Time, it's 8:30, right? So I think I got all the time zones right there. All right, let me go ahead and put this link in for you guys. All right. I do know there is one person that I expect to show up, and they have a particular topic, and I'm looking for others as well. Okay. All right. So. And listen, I do want to say this too. I know I like to bore you guys with some of my like regular life stuff because this is not, my life is not all gig work. I know I have a gig channel and I do other things. I played basketball today for the first time in a while and it was fantastic. I got a little sunburnt. I had a great time. It was a beautiful day in St. Louis. I hope you guys, I mentioned that because I hope you guys also were able to do something, even if it's for 30 minutes or an hour or whatever, that really fills you up a little bit and can motivate you to hit your next workday. Because I feel alive right now just from going out and playing. I was outside we played about 2 hours today, and it was great. I really needed it. Very therapeutic for me. I used to play basketball for a couple of years every day. I was in the gym, and then for several years it was at least once, twice a week, and then for other several years it was like I had a game a week in a league, and it was just great to get out there and play with people I hadn't played with before, and then just hear the ball bouncing on the court, make a couple shots, make a couple passes, talk a little track. You know, it's very therapeutic for me, and I needed it after I just needed it. It felt great. Okay, so let me go ahead and put this link in for you guys. Let's do that. And then let's do this. All right, so I'm going to pin it in just a second. Appreciate all y'all coming in the show. Let me go ahead and get that off the screen. And I'll go ahead and pin it up at the top. Maybe. Pin. So at the top of the live chat right now, if you're not in the live chat, hit that little comment section or whatever it is on whatever device, and you can go ahead and see that at the top of the stream, there's a pin comment. It's got Pedro, Mr.BetonYou, Santiago, and yellow. If you click on that, there's a little blue link. You can click on the link and you can join the show. If you've never been a part of the show, please come on. If you have a difference of opinion, come on the show. Everybody is welcome here. I've had many people on I agree with or don't. This show isn't about me. It's not about me trying to prove something to you guys or feed you something you don't want to hear. It's about also learning from one another. Maybe I can teach you something. Maybe you can teach me something. I've learned many things from having this channel from many of you guys, and I'm up for that. Okay. I think having various opinions is extremely important, especially now as we approach 2026. I think perspective is everything, and knowing that one state might value something way different than another state, One people might like metrics. One people might like Prop 22, and there's reasons behind it. And it doesn't make me right or wrong, or you are right or wrong, or they am right or wrong. One person might like this app versus this app. We need to continue to have as independent contractors or misclassified independent contractors, because that's what the company's doing is for their benefit and the taxes, right? Um, what we need to continue to realize is I crave and want to continue to keep most of the things on the app the same. I want some things changed that offer us some level of protection, but I don't want some complete rehaul. A rehaul will really ruin, I think, something that's been really good to most of you guys. And as much as I complain, you complain, most of y'all are still doing the apps, still working, still grinding, you still find a sense of stability, money, earnings, opportunity within the app. And I'm really scared that, if we change certain things, it's gonna rock some people's worlds, and it's gonna make all of us are gonna make the same money, and we're not gonna be able to separate ourselves in any way. And that's not America. That's not the America that I want. It's not the America that I know. It's not the line of work I know. I think some of us get too tied up into words and what we're calling ourselves or what we're called. And if I'm being honest with y'all, money is I'm not that's not my main motivator, but but okay, it's a deciding factor for many of us in the line of work that we choose. And I need to be able to separate myself from driver A or driver B or driver C. And the only way I can do that is by having some level of metrics. Like, we need that. It blows my mind in some ways, in some regards. Um, I was okay. I just got text. Hold on. All right, I think we got. Okay, I see a few people waiting. All right, so I'm gonna bring you guys up one at a time. The floor is yours. The topics, okay, are yours tonight. You could pose a question to me, to the audience, share some information. It's completely up to whoever comes on the screen. So I see Roy waiting. I see AMC. I see Mindset. I see Monkey. So I see 4 gentlemen waiting right now. If you guys can hang tight in the background, Roy was the first person I see up. I'll bring him up first, and we'll go from there. Appreciate y'all very much. Hit that like button. All right, so let's go ahead and bring Roy up. Roy,
What's up,
how you doing?
Huge here. What's up, man? How's it going, bro?
What's up, man? How's Las Vegas?
Not much, man. Of course was. Yeah, gig-wise. I'm always up here first. Oh, right. I talked to Pedro about this earlier in the week anyways.
So bring the topic that you have on your mind to the audience, and let's see what we can solve here. Not solve, but let's see what kind of conversation we can have. Let's see what the audience thinks about it as well.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to solve much. It's about this legislation with the transparency and the transparency and false deactivation stuff. Okay. Because I have questions about it. Nobody seems to answer my questions. I see a lot of people are jumping on the bandwagon, or people are reaching out to other people in states trying to get the same type of legislation. I guess you could say almost like a cookie cutter situation where they're trying to get the same legislation passed. When it comes to the transparency stuff, as far as, because I was reading the Colorado one, and it's still the basic information. You're getting your distance, the drop-off, pickup locations. So, and usually when it comes to rideshare, you're getting your pay. It pops up on your screen. Oh, that's already there. As far as the food delivery stuff, yeah, you're not seeing everything. You might not see 25 cents. Okay, I understand that whole transparency when it comes to the full pay. But this is where I have my problems with it, is now you're getting the customers involved with this, where the customer is seeing what you're being paid, seeing what you're seeing what the customer is paying. That starts to create animosity, in my opinion, because now if a driver sees, hey, this customer paid $100, I'm only getting $30, there's going to be issues there. And as far as rideshare goes, because I did it for 3 years, everybody knows that, most of the tips you're going to see after the fact. You're not going to see a tip on a prior rideshare. But to me, you're going to start causing animosity between customers and drivers and customers, and you might start to see some animosity between companies or not the companies, customers and companies. Customers might say, well, why am I taking this service if they're not getting paid? And really, at the end of the day, why is it the customer's business how much you're making? Why are the customers being allowed to dictate what's in your pockets? What's in your pockets, in your pockets. What's in the customer's pockets is their pockets. As long as they're showing you the amount you're getting paid, where you're going, this, that, that's all you really need, in my opinion. And you do rideshare, so I'm sure you agree with that to some extent. But the way this thing reads is it's the exact same shit they already show you, except for the exact pay amount, which that never affected a gig worker in the first place. Let's be honest. As a gig worker, seeing 100% of the payout never affected 99% of us when we picked our orders. Let's be honest. I'm sure everybody can be honest. You can be honest with that. There's many times you click on that, oh, extra $5. I'm the shit. You know what I'm saying? So that never seemed to be an issue. Now with the false deactivation thing, I saw that it's Denver, it's the state that's involved in doing this, the state labor commission. Okay. Also, they're tracking you now. Now you got them tracking you because it clearly says that they can go in and get the information they need of how much you're making, how many miles you're driving. We already saw in California where they wanted to start charging people how many miles they were driving every day. They were trying to add a certain amount of money to your taxes or whatever the case may be. So now you're giving the state all this extra information, how much you're making. So what's going to happen when you don't file your state taxes properly and it's time to get an audit? Now the state knows what you're making because they can pull up the statistics of what you're making in that state. You got state all up in the middle of your business. And when the false deactivation thing, who's in charge of this? First of all, we were always told we don't want labor. We don't want what was it? Unions. We don't want unions involved. But yet we got union people on the panels that are helping to decide whether or not a driver should or should not be on the platform. But why are we got union people doing this? If unions is not something we want, why are union people even involved? Secondly,
it seems like
you got drivers.
Part of the decisions, yeah.
Yeah. And then you got the drivers. Who picks these drivers? What qualifications do you need to be able to be on this panel to dictate whether or not Pedro deserves to be on the panel or not, I deserve, or anybody else? Who are you to dictate this? What is your experience? Is there any bias? What has any of these drivers been deactivated from a platform? Do they have a bias towards platforms that they've been kicked off of? There's so many questions that I don't see being answered. And also, evidence versus no evidence. Where are you going to get 99% of the evidence is a he said, she said? How are you going to prove Pedro didn't do the delivery if there's no evidence? How are you going to prove the customer lied that they didn't receive it if there's no evidence? So how are you going through and doing these investigations? And what knowledge do you have about doing investigations? If you're on this panel to investigate whether or not Pedro's lying, the customer's lying, Roy's lying, whoever's lying, what experience do you have in this? What information are you being given to make these decisions? Because if I get a delivery to go to Pedro, I drop it off, hand to Pedro, I hand him his order, I walk away. Pedro says he never got it. How is somebody on that panel gonna be able to decipher whether I'm lying or he's lying? And also,
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I think you bring up a few interesting points. I'll stab at a couple of them, and I want to get the chat's opinions. I think the transparency thing can be good. I mean, should we know? Should they hide money? No. I think we can all agree they shouldn't hide money. It's silly. Uber does it. DoorDash. Those are the two main ones that I've known in doing this enough. And I know that when Uber shows me $10 for a couple of miles, it's always more. Sometimes it's pennies, sometimes it's dollars. And DoorDash used to be $6.25 and $8.25, and it would go up. And I could find them. We had that Para app that was helpful, right? and a lot of people used it and then they liked it. Then it got shut down. They don't exist anymore. So I think there's benefits. Clearly, there are benefits to knowing all the pay information, right? I think that's a good thing because there are times when I look, Roy, like at Uber Eats, I'm like, man, it's showing me $15, right? For example, so Bob Evans, $15 for so many miles. I'm like, I don't know if I want to drive 9 miles south, right? Because then I got to drive back. It's like I'm in, but hey, that might actually be paying $30, right? It could be paying, but so that to me, the transparency part, I think if we had it, it would not, it would be a win. I would be fine with it as far as like what I'm shown. I don't need all the information, like every single item, because a lot of the apps don't show you that. But like the pay stuff, we should get that. There's clear benefits to having that information, right? Now, do I stop working the apps because I don't have it? No, most of us have not. We still work the apps. We try to figure it out. As far as the transparency with the customers knowing what we're getting, I think that could work two ways, Roy. I think some customers, not most, but some might say, "Oh my God, I just paid $100 to go from the airport to go 15 miles home. I just paid 100, but my driver on my bill, if they happen to look at it, the driver's getting $25 because it's for 10 or 15 miles, which is common. Oh my God, that's crazy. Most customers are already paying $100, so it's not like they're going to tip you extra because they feel like you're making less. Most customers, and we see it on TikTok, we see it on social media, talk to your company about that. I don't need to tip you. So I think that a customer knowing what I'm making doesn't help me. Most of the time, that probably won't help us. I
I
think
think
if anything,
I personally
go ahead.
think it would make you. I would personally think that'd make you angry. As a driver, you would be angry to know this guy paid $100, you're getting paid $25, which then
Yeah.
can affect customer service and shit like that. Um, in my opinion.
Yeah, Adam's asking a question: do all workers receive company benefits? I'm not sure what this is a reference to. I know that there's a benefit stipend for Prop 22. As far as everything else, we don't. We get gig workers get benefit options at a discount through all the apps, but like we don't. As an independent contractor, it's up to us to get our benefits. Maybe that question is a reference to something else, but
Can we
yeah.
call Prop 22 what it is? It's called gig welfare. It's gig welfare.
So are
That's what
you are you somebody Roy, that is like you don't like Prop 22? Is it because you don't live there? Like what problem do you have with it?
No,
Is it because
no,
it's welfare?
but the thing is, this has always been about we're independents. We're independent. I'm an independent person. I'm a this. I'm a that. If you're being paid or subsidized or being paid by the state, being paid by any company to do your independent work, you're not independent. That's what people don't understand. You're not independent because you're being subsidized by the state or the companies. They're paying you just like you're getting paid at a job. So you're not independent. And it's only going to take you get that one crazy person in there that wants to flip something around and change something, and it's going to be for the worst because they might
Yeah,
because the minute the state starts paying you or they start forcing companies to pay you, that starts to get you into that employee situation at that point.
maybe I think there's something to that, but I think my side of it is I think we got to remember, and I appreciate the topic you're bringing up. I'll have some other people on soon, but I think what we got to remember is there are a lot of people that are okay with working these apps and they want Prop 22. They want benefits. I think we got to remember, like on YouTube, we're a very small group that want to have this kind of work the way it currently is, or we don't want any benefit, or I don't want nothing. But like most people that do this work, they actually want something. And I believe, based on the poll I put up, based on the hundreds of people I've met, I have met real drivers and shaken people's hands and like had meals with them 4 times in California. I haven't met one person that said that they didn't get benefits that they enjoyed from it, monetarily and otherwise. So I think, and California, the thing we got to remember about California, I think a lot of us, sometimes me, we give that state a lot of crap because there's a lot of stuff they do that's really weird. But we got to remember, they are basically their own country. The amount of money that they put into for other states that are smaller in this country, the amount of money that they generate for other countries other states that can't generate that, right? And so I think we got to remember California is like its own little area, and and some even feel it should be treated that way. And if they want that and they fought for that and they voted on it, now I believe twice, it passed again, I think last year, a year and a half ago. I'm cool with it. Like I ain't got no, somebody wants to take $2 and they know that
Yeah.
eventually might pay them 4 or 5. I ain't got no problem with it. And if it came to Missouri, and it never would, we're a red state, right? It's not gonna come here. But if it did, and I did my gig work exactly the same, and every 2 weeks they gave me an extra $250, wouldn't that be a good thing?
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's
Yeah,
like
I
I
mean,
said,
it would be,
but it's
good.
taking you. To me, it's just taking away your independent status. It just leads you down the road to be possibly being labeled as a worker or an employee. Oh, and
Sure,
then my
sure.
my second thing about this panel situation. This is where it becomes really serious. Where does the liability lie at this point?
Yeah, let's get into that. Let's get into you're talking about the deactivation stuff that they got
The
in Colorado.
deactivation stuff. Yeah.
Which
Where does the
I think the act. I'll say this before you start. The current deactivation policies and/or how we can be deactivated. I think most of us break TOS all the time, and some get caught and some don't. I stand by that. I've been deactivated. Like I get it, but I think the current systems that have in place are broken. Right. So I think having any human eyeballs is better than the current thing, but I do understand that we might actually be getting something that in some ways could be worse. So go ahead and continue with your line of thought on that.
yeah, especially when it comes to the rideshare part of it. The rideshare part is where I see the liability issue being the most. Even with food delivery, it can still be a liability. Like I said, a lot of it's a he said, she said. Okay, let's say I go to deliver food for Pedro. I get pissed off because Pedro didn't tip me enough. I lose my shit on Pedro. I'm being aggressive towards Pedro. You need to tip. I'm getting up in Pedro's face, threatening Pedro, so on and so forth. Once again, Pedro gets a hold of Uber. Hey, your driver was up in my face threatening me, blah, 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 all this. I get deactivated. Now you got a panel of people that are going to go by the evidence that they're provided. My word against Pedro's word. I have no other prior complaints regarding this aggressive behavior or whatever the case may be. So as the panel, if the panel then chooses to say, okay, well, he has no prior issues, I think maybe that Pedro was just lying. So we want you to put him back on a platform. At that point, when aggressive Roy goes to the next person and punches him in the face, or even worse, stab him, blast at him, do whatever nasty thing I choose to do to that person, who picks up the liability at that point? Does that liability now fall on that panel because they allowed somebody who showed aggressive behavior, and because they didn't believe the customer, they allowed them back on the app, and then they did this nefarious business? Does that take away then does it take away the liability of the company? Because the company can turn around and say, hey, we deactivate him off what we were told by the customer, his behavior. You guys allowed him back on there. So where does the liability lie?
Where does the liability stand in a way of even civil matters, you're saying, or otherwise, or people's safety or how they feel? Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know. I think, we can think about these situations that do happen, and it's not a lot, right? But people do get hurt, injured, harassed. There's a lot of lawsuits and billboards you see on the highway. Have you been harassed by Uber driver? Like I've seen them on Instagram, like it's a thing, right? With some people, but I don't know how to feel about it. I think we need to have some level of protection from false deactivations without having the numbers in front of me, but based on things that I've seen or heard or read, it seems like most deactivations are just. Maybe if 10 people are deactivated, one or two of them were done in a false way where like, hey, I did nothing wrong at all. So most are, right? But yeah, if a customer doesn't feel in the rideshare space like, hey, this guy harassed me in a sexual way, he was being whatever, he asked me for my number, I felt uncomfortable, and then he didn't do, and then they called and do it, and then Uber's like, you're deactivated, because they're trying to protect their company from a liability standpoint and have the app safe for their customers, and then that driver still goes on the app, and that customer then needs to go back to work 2 days later, and they get the same driver. That who's liable there? That's an
Yeah.
issue,
Or
right?
something even worse. He does something even more dramatic the next time, like maybe touching or doing something worse than that. Where does that liability fall? Do you, like I said, who do you sue at that point? Because if I'm Uber or I'm Lyft, I'm going to say, hey, we did our part. We deactivated him. Now this state board or whoever it is allowed him back on there. Does that mean that those drivers that are on that state board now become liable for the injuries of that person? And does that make the state liable because they have state? It's run by the state at that point. See,
Yeah,
that's
I'm
the
not
question.
sure.
Yeah,
I'm not sure, but I would imagine, based on things I've been a part of and what I've seen, if we're talking liability in the form of like the consumer then wanting to do something civilly for injuries or mental health or mental, whatever, right? Like they don't feel safe, they're going to always go after Uber because if it's a panel of 12 people and two people are union, there's no money there probably, right? There might, I don't know if they're state employees, maybe there probably is then, right? There's some money there tied to the state, but they're probably going to go after Uber because that's going to be where they're going to get their cash. But it's interesting. I don't know if
but
anything's written in the
but
legislation that
but
says
but
who's
think
liable or
about it.
not. I don't know.
Yeah, but think about it. Yes, they can go after Uber, but then Uber can turn around and say, "Hey, we did our part. We deactivated. We did what we said we were going to do to protect other passengers, or so on
Right.
and so forth." So you're giving these companies an out for liability. Should you let these nefarious ass people on the platform or back on the platform? You're giving these companies a way out of facing any consequences for this type of behavior. And I think that's kind of, I would
Well,
really like to know how that works.
yeah, it's a good question. It's interesting. I think what I'll end with this. I think that I would imagine, I could be wrong. This is me theorizing, that if there, and I like the fact that we have people trying to fight to have eyeballs on a deactivation. I think that's a positive thing. I want to say that and get it out of the way. I think that's good. Okay, because there are some people that it wouldn't take long if if I'm deactivated from said app and hey, well, here's my evidence. I have a dash cam. I have this. You're talking about right here. I have a dash cam. I have this. This is the customer. You can timestamp it. This is what actually happened. I did not say anything wrong. Boom. And if the eyeballs are looking at that and then they say, hey, Uber, Pedro Santiago in St. Louis, Missouri showed us evidence. You got to put this driver back on the app. And then I'm back on. I think that's great. I think there's a lot of
Yeah,
benefits to that, right?
yeah,
So I think that,
a lot of states don't allow dash cams. You know, you got a two-party consent, a one-party consent. It all depends on your state whether or
yeah.
not you're allowed to record in your car as it is.
I think though,
So
if you have a sign, if there's signage there, the customer, the way I understand it, if there's signage that's clearly labeled, there's a way around the two-party thing, but then also that customer has that choice then, hey, I know I'm being recorded, and if they don't want to, they don't have to take the ride. I might be missing something. I don't know all the states laws,
yeah,
but I think if that driver then, if you have a dash cam, you should have some kind of signage or something acknowledging it. I think that's fair. But I think the deactivation thing is interesting because I think most people, and from what I understand with the legislation, there's actually like you can be fined if you don't get back on and the humans look at that and say, hold up, you said you got falsely deactivated, but the evidence that you're presenting or whatever, after finding evidence out, you actually did what they said, then you're fined. And I think that's good too. I think that's a measure of it will
yeah,
stop people from just saying, oh, I did nothing wrong when you probably know you did something or maybe you missed something. So I think, who gets that money? I have no idea. That's a whole nother
yeah,
conversation. But,
exactly. Which
you
probably
know,
goes to the state because the state's running it. So now you're
probably,
paying fines to the state, and
probably,
it just to
probably.
me, it's just you're getting so many more people involved in your personal business and
Yeah.
everything else that everybody has always said I don't want in my business. I want
Yeah,
to be
it's
independent. It's
the union thing, having two union delegates or whatever they're called on the
yeah,
actual board is ironic to me, but I think that's part of politics. It's compromising, I think it's,
yeah,
it is what it is. I don't have an issue with it. In some levels, it makes a lot of sense for various reasons, but it's interesting. I think sometimes, we want change, and I think I think we need it with some things, but I think when we overreach, in our society with anything, right? Whether it's being equal or being this, when we do too much, when we go too far right or too far left, however you want to say it, I think that's where the issues lie. And I think with some legislation I'm seeing and hearing, we're doing too much, trying to get rid of all the metrics, in my opinion. I think you feel a little different, but I think that that's wrong, right? I think we need some of those. That's how we separate ourselves. So I think that some of this stuff's really, really good. I think some of it doesn't make sense. I think it'll be interesting to see what actually happens while it's in real time, real work, and we have like a year or two of these things in place, how are the driver earnings impacted? That will be the only thing that makes sense, right? How are the drivers better off with their money or better off with some kind of benefit or protections? That will tell us, but I think it will take a little bit of time to see that. So,
All right, cool.
hey
Yeah,
man, I
I,
appreciate you
I
coming
was
on,
just
man.
like, I want somebody to answer those questions, the liabilities and all that stuff, because that's
Yeah,
important.
yeah,
That's,
yeah,
the
yeah. I
customers
think
have
those
to
things
have,
I think those things are
yeah,
important, and I think as time goes around and things are written and adjusted, I think we'll have maybe some more clear answers as things happen in real time. As we see drivers being deactivated, having 12 people look at it or however many, right, and then seeing like months and months or a couple of years of results. I think then we'll have a clear answer. I would challenge you to make a video, do a live, tag some people, and see if you can get other people's perspective that might know more about it, and then maybe that might give us a clearer answer as to like what's gonna
well, I've talked,
happen, how are they
I've,
thinking
I've,
about it.
I've tried, but, I burn Roy isn't the most liked person, and because he doesn't jump on the bandwagon, and I have these adverse opinions and questions, maybe they don't have the answers for it. So it's easier. You know how it goes with me,
Well,
bro.
and I think that you and I have gone back and forth with things. We haven't
Yeah,
always agreed, but I think we're similar in
exactly.
that way. I don't say what is always popular. I just say what's on my mind,
Exactly.
in my opinion. And
Exactly.
sometimes that gets guys like us in trouble, but I think a lot of times we can stand firm in
Yeah.
what we feel and who we are, because we're always going to give to people what we think,
Well,
whether we're
that's the
right,
well,
wrong,
yeah.
you
Well,
know.
that's the problem I see with some of these gig channels. If you don't go with what they're proposing or they're doing, you're automatically the bad guy. No matter what questions you have, even if they're a legit good question, you're just a bad guy because I'm on YouTube. I'm saying this needs to be done. This should be done. This should be done. You should just, because you're a gig worker, you've been in it for a long time. You should just jump along and no, I'm not that guy. I don't just
Yeah,
jump in the
no.
mix and
And I
shit
think I
without.
think questions are good. I don't know everything. None of us do. I
Yeah.
think I think asking questions, seeking out information, trying different things. I think it's very important. For me, that's like also part of being like independent and free thinking, and like we call ourselves independent contractors. We are that based on what the apps tell us, but we're sometimes treated like that, but not. But like at the end of the day, like we have to be able to ask questions, and we shouldn't
Yeah.
get like too
Yeah.
it shouldn't be too personal. It should just be like, I got questions, or this doesn't. And I can have an opinion saying, hey, I think getting rid of metrics altogether is a really horrible idea,
Well,
and that's my opinion. I
but
could
that
be
goes
wrong,
back
but that's how I
but that
feel.
goes back to the transparency when you think about it. Now that you're giving all this information to make more informed decisions, how is the company going to use matrix against you now, or the metrics against you now? The metrics at that point, hey, I've been given all the information. I can make those decisions now. Where before you may not have had that same right to make those decisions. I get to
Yeah,
see this.
we'll see.
You see what I'm saying? So it's leading into some crazy shit to me. So,
We'll see. Roy, I
yep.
appreciate your
All right,
time, and
cool.
I'm gonna let next person up. Thanks, man.
All right, cool. Have a good one.
All right, everybody, say what's up to Real Talk with Roy. All right, so we got a few more people waiting. I'm gonna get everybody up. If you guys can just be patient, I promise you, if you're waiting in the room right now, I will allow you up. The only thing I do ask, if you could cam up, that's more appropriate. I like to see a face. I think it's better visually for the screen as well. If you're not at a point where you can cam, and you need a little time to do that, that's fine. But I do need to see a face visually. It's just better for the screen. It's better for the audience. It's better for everybody around. Some interesting points brought up. I think appropriate legislation is a good thing. I think trying something, even if it isn't right or might not be right now for everybody, it's also a positive thing. I don't want anybody to be misconstrued thinking, oh, I don't want no, try something. Listen, try it. Let's try some things. I'm all for trying things that are of the betterment of drivers. But at the end of the day, it's one or two things. Are we making more or less money? Because that's all we care about. We stop working apps because they take away this or that, which is money driven. We add a new app because that's going to be better earning potential. It's all dollars and cents, right? So I know we don't like to tie everything to money, but that's just the reality. It's black and white. Like, am I having a good week this week? Am I not having a good week this week? And most of us are going to say, I had a good week. I made this amount of money. Some of us on an even superior level, if you're really breaking your numbers down, will say, I had a great week because my profits were up. even though my earnings were down. And that's a thing. Okay. You can make 1,500 bucks, but I can make 1,000 and I can have more profitability than you. You can make $2,000 and driver A makes 1,700, but driver A with the 1,700 made more profitability for other factors. So I think we have to like understand there's levels to the monetization of how you're doing the gig work, but that's all that matters. That's all we want is an opportunity to make the best money. So any kind of thing that's going to change, that's what we're going to base it upon. I don't care how I feel. I'll get my emotions out on a YouTube video and I'll just complain about it, move on. Maybe I'll complain about it for a week, give you an update a month later. But at the end of the day, I'm going to keep it pushing. You're going to keep it pushing. We're going to go to the next app. We're going to go to the next gig. We're going to go to the next hustle and we're going to make money. Because at the end of the day, put your feelings aside, save those for your girlfriend, for your husband, for your best friend. It's about dollars and cents. Your feelings don't pay the bills. How you feel, what you're called. Oh, I feel like I'm an employee. Oh, I'm a real independent contractor. That does not pay the bills. That's irrelevant. That is our emotion, our ego talking. Like I say that because I am like that sometimes, right? Dollars and cents. Are you making profitability? Are you not making profitability? It's the only thing that matters, right? All right, so I got AMC's ready to cam up. I see you, brother. I'm gonna bring you up. I got Mindset will be after him. I'll give you guys a rundown. I see Kevin. I see Random Ryan. I see Dashing Dave. I'll get all of you guys on the show. These topics don't have to be Roy's. It can be Roy's. It could be a topic or something that you have on your mind that you want to bring to the community, one on one with Mr. Bet on You on the Sunday Live Show. I got AMC's up next. AMC, what's up, brother? Oop, I think you're muted. Hold on one second. Let me unmute you.
Yeah, what's
Okay,
up?
now you're live. How's it
What's up,
going, man?
man?
What you got on your mind?
What's up, man? Curious though, the whole thing about somebody getting like sexually something happening in an Uber ride, like
Yeah,
Roy was talking about. I don't want to say anything specific because we're on YouTube.
yeah, yeah.
But wouldn't that like when it all boils down though, doesn't it come down to the driver and the person that was in the car? I mean, I know there's a mediator between the driver and the person in the car, but if somebody broke the law and made you uncomfortable, like how much liability does Uber have?
Mm, good point.
Like,
Especially because we're independent contractors, right? Is there a liability there? Yeah,
yeah, where I don't. I mean, hey, we called you a driver, and the driver decided to do something upon himself. He took his own free will to do something to you. So I
mm,
don't know. Like to me, that should be the main focus. They should go on the driver more overall than whatever the company. Like the company, all the company has to show for is that the guy was legit, right?
that's a good point because there's two stories that are recent. I want to know if you know about them. One is the DoorDash driver that had her car vandalized from the lady with the chicken. Did you hear about
Yeah, she
that?
took the
Like,
food
okay,
home with herself.
so
Yeah.
she's not, from what I understand, she was trying to go after DoorDash, saying DoorDash should do this or do that, the Dasher. But it sounds like the prosecution is going against the customer, right? So like they're not going against the company. And then there was a driver, an Uber driver, about a couple of weeks ago. I don't know what city or state. I don't know if you saw this. There's a video of him having a confrontation with a passenger or somebody on the backside of his car, and he knocks the guy out cold on the street and goes back in his car. So is Uber liable for that driver knocking the passenger out, or is the passenger going to go after the driver? You know?
That's what I'm saying. I mean, well, at the same time, like there, I don't know much about rideshare, you know, uh, and you actually on your channel you don't talk much about rideshare at all
No, I
for
don't. I
that
don't talk
matter.
a lot about it. No.
Right.
Mm-mm.
So like that's yeah, like you're delivering people. So there's a whole other like I was about to say, how does insurance get involved? Like we're paying extra for whatever we have to pay for ride share. Like if I have to use a car in order to take a person from one place to another, right? And I have to pay
Yeah.
more insurance, and what does that cover? Does that cover me acting like that? I
Yeah.
think the person should just be met with the full extent of the law, and the company should just show up with their paperwork and be like, "Hey, when we hired him, he was all right. Like, it's not our fault
Yeah.
that this guy
Oh,
went
and
off
I
on
think
one."
that's what happens. I think that's what happens in a lot of cases, actually.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, dude. What I was gonna say is like, I wanted to make a video and I really wanted to make a detailed one about it. But in my experience, like what I'm noticing more than anything is that a lot of these companies, they're trying to get their money back.
Mm,
There was a huge influx in 2021, 2020, right? They were making that investment initially, getting the market share, getting the customers, getting the people that are now relying on it, and now they're paying less for the orders to get delivered, obviously.
yeah,
And if they don't get delivered, then they just continue hiring more people at no cost,
yeah. I don't
right?
know, man.
So
It's,
I think that's what we're seeing now more than anything. I mean, I can get I'll put everything on everything to say that nobody listening or watching this live stream right now is clearing $30 an hour consistently day to day.
I think most aren't. I think if we're looking at the 101 people in here, there might be a few people that on average do that. But yeah, so maybe two or three that are consistently clearing that in their marketplace. Yeah, so that's 2% of drivers. Yeah, I think you're definitely right with that.
It's
That
not,
consistently
dude, no,
making
it's
it.
not. But
I agree.
I mean, I hear a lot about it, like, oh, like, like a $200 Instacart badge or whatever. Like, dude, he waited like 3 hours in a parking lot. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
I think
yeah.
I think we also have to take responsibility as well for ourselves to watch how much time we're actually spending, like the entire time that we're spending interacting with these applications. Because at least like I run a clock, you know, and I start off on an hour, and I know which because I run like 5 different apps when I'm on the bike, but I know which one to dive into when and where at what time. And when one sends me in one direction, then I get on another one because I know that whatever order that I just cleared in 30 minutes, that was $18, like that double that I cleared in 30 minutes. I know there's a $4 order coming that's going to take me 15 minutes to deliver. It's like they're trying to get their money back. The point I'm trying to make is like I think this is going to get a lot worse. If you're not incentivizing customers to put a gratuity in to take care of the driver, um
Mm.
this is just going to be something where, you might do in a transition to another job. They're going to meet their goal. I honestly believe that they're going to go all the way through, and this is just going to be like something you do for a couple hours in a week. That's what they're aiming for. I'm positive of it. And
I tend to agree with you. I think for some we'll be able to stay in it, but I've been saying it for the last several years. For most of us, this should not be all the money, all your income long term. I've said that for several years. I'm aligned with that because I do believe the way the business model is going, they're looking for, I want more, I want even more of the pie of our workforce, being dashers or drivers or whatever, to be part-time because they're less impacted and they expect less. And the more drivers that we have on the app that are just, hey, once a week, 4 or 5 hours a week, that serves the company way better because it's the full timers are going to be the ones that are going to write legislation, want more changes. You know what I'm saying? Like the ones that are impacted the most are the ones out there the most, working 40, 50, 60, 70 hours a week. Those are the ones that are seeing everything. Their safety's more at risk, their automobiles. So, yeah, for their business model to be more successful, they need more drivers, more overall workforce, but each person working less hours on average. I think that's kind of what you're meaning, right?
but it's all based on multiple points of a market. So it's like, if there's not a driver over there, there's one here. So I can pick this one up. That driver can pick that one up, right? So
Yeah.
there has to be an answer for the people that are doing this all consistently, right? And
Yeah.
then you turn around and I've thought about this. I've thought this through and through, time and time again. I live next to New York. I looked at what they did in New York. Their laws almost went down to the point where they couldn't hire a certain amount of drivers without meeting a certain quota to pay their drivers, something like that. It's wild. I mean, I haven't gotten into the paperwork because I think they changed it where they 404 the webpage. But
Mm.
it's like, like, okay, what do we say? We cut down acceptance rate. All right, flood the market. Like, what do you think's gonna happen if we all stand up and we're all like, "Yo, this acceptance rate thing is garbage. All right, we're just gonna flood the market, or we're just gonna impose schedules on people, and we're gonna
Mm,
offer schedules when we can."
mm.
Like these people, and that's what I said last time when I was on here. These guys are market makers, so it's hard to navigate that. I think the best thing anyone could do in any part of the country is come up with not a union, but a mediary, right? So it's like on one hand you have these apps, on the other hand you have drivers, and then you have the government. Because if you go to the drivers, if the drivers go to the government, bro, they're just gonna they want votes, they want this, they want that,
Yes.
they want to look good in front of cameras, bro. That's their main priority. And especially if you go there and you pull on their sleeves and you're like, hey man, like I'm not getting paid enough. Like, bro, that's not really my problem in a way. That's how I look at it. Is like, what is the government going to offer you? Yeah, they're going to want something in exchange,
Yeah.
and that's kind of what happened that's mostly what happened in NY. I
Yeah. In
mean,
in New York, it was I believe it was New York City, right? It was in that area. It wasn't the entire state, or am I wrong in saying that?
no, yeah, bro, they were like crying on stage, and I'm over here looking at this. Initially they started paying the drivers $30 an hour per active time, and then they were just doing the same thing because they had two options: $30 an hour, or they get to pay them $20 an hour. But dude, they're getting paid for also being online. It's wild what they did over there. But it comes at the expense of not even being able to work, and that's what happened last summer. And it looks like a lot of the drivers have figured something out for it because I don't see that many drivers out here now. What I was gonna ask you though, like what's your take, man, on like if we all just abolish the acceptance rates, or radius distance or all this other stuff, like how do you think that will pan out, bro?
It would take it would be almost impossible for us to get together and all agree to do that to make a difference, because there's so many of us. Most people don't get the information, whether it's on YouTube, a podcast, on a TikTok. Like they're just out there working, and I think it'd be hard to flip it in that way because there's not enough of us to make a change. I could get 50 people probably realistically in St. Louis all to meet in a parking lot. 50 people I know, and that's not a lot, but I can get 50 people this week in a parking lot, turn our apps on and say we're taking nothing today. We're going to decline everything. But then there's another 100 drivers that are just going to take it anyway. So I think it'd be really hard. It's something I remember talking about when I first started this channel. Hey, let's just all decline one day. And I put it on somebody's channel as a YouTuber at the time, another channel, no longer exists. What happens if we just all decline? That means all the other drivers are going to make an extra 25 cents or 50. Let's just decline all one day, even if you're not going to work. Decline, 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 decline. It forces the companies to pay us more. And his response was, hey, you can't get enough people on the same page to want to do that. Because what other drivers hear is, oh, we got these 50 people in St. Louis or in NY that are going to not work.
Yeah, they lock in. Yeah,
I'm locked in
yeah.
then, right? We see it with the strikes, the Uber strike. I'm locked in. Oh, hold up, y'all ain't working today. You're gonna go to the airport and strike. You know what? I'm gonna make an extra $100 a day. Thank you. And that's what they do because we're all just trying to feed our families, like somebody said earlier, right? So
You should see what happened last Valentine's Day. Yeah, that's exactly what I did.
yeah,
I just locked
that's
in.
what I'm
Yeah,
saying. Those are
yeah.
record-breaking days for the drivers that choose to work. So standing in solidarity for us as independent contractors that don't know each other, right? We don't all live next to each other, and the only way we communicate is through lives, and it's almost near impossible. I'm not saying it's impossible because other things that have happened that have been way more difficult in other lines of labor law, but that one would be extremely difficult. You know what I mean? That's my stance on it. I could be wrong, but that's kind of
But
how I
but if
look at
we
it.
but if we all went up, like if we were all like, hey, like acceptance rate is wrong. Like how do you think the companies will react to something like that? Because that essentially what the point I was making earlier is like they're trying to make their money back, and the way that they're making their money back is by doing acceptance rates, like
Right.
full
Yeah.
fledged,
But I
full
think we got
fledged.
to remember. I think a lot of us that have the issue with the acceptance rate aren't even working those apps anymore. So how many of y'all in the chat right now are so upset about a DoorDash acceptance rate? How much money did you make on DoorDash last week? You probably moved on from an app that doesn't have acceptance rate or something else that it's a little more lenient and you're making more money. So the acceptance rate to me, if people want to go out there, like I made a video last week, we need the $2 driver because while somebody's worried about their
Yeah, I
acceptance
watched
rate
it.
and they're taking a $2 order, you're on another app or you're on a DoorDash app, and the DoorDash app just fed you a $10 going 2 miles, and you're happy. So I think we have to understand the reality is we need different players to play different roles in this gig work. And some could say it's not fair, or that's what we need. Like that's what we need. So I think a lot of us are hung up on metrics, acceptance rate, but the only one that everybody bitches about is DoorDash and the AR. But they don't realize there's delivered apps that have a metrics. Roadie's gonna have one coming up soon. All the apps have it. Instacart has the Diamond program. Uber Eats Pro. I mean, it goes on and on and on. You know, when you sign up for these apps and you're new in the beginning, they tell you got to do this many orders and then you're going to see good ones. That's a metrics. That's a tier program. But we only talk about DoorDash, and I get it. They're the big bad wolf. They got the most market share. They're the most impactful. But if DoorDash has to follow said law, all of them have to do it, right? Because you have all the apps on your phone. So for me, like I'm okay with having these tiers. Like it doesn't affect me because I've had them in my marketplace for so long. I'm still making money. So, you know, we can cry and bitch and moan about it and say it's not fair, or we could adapt and get to another app and figure it out and let the other people play the game. Most of us that are complaining about the game that we don't like aren't even playing the game. So we're standing on a football field, right? That we used to play football. Now we're playing soccer on the other field, but we're looking at the football refs like, I don't like that call that you just made. You're not even playing the game anymore. So it doesn't make a lot of logical sense, you know, like we're over here playing soccer and you like that better because you're having more fun. But we're worried about the refs refereeing the football game. You know, like we stopped playing the game. So the relevance of some of the stuff, it doesn't make a lot of sense either. You know, like I don't like that they do it, but in a lot of other independent contractor work, AMC, and I got a lot of other levels of it. There's metrics, there's rankings, there's ratings. You're rated by customers in a lot of other IC worlds. You're rated by that particular contractor that's subcontracting you as an independent. You're rated based on work history, based on time, based on your customer. Like it's in a lot of other IC work. So we like to pick and choose
Yeah,
just a little lane that we're in food delivery and rideshare. And it's just kind of weird to me. I don't know. It's interesting though. I'll say that. But
but
you know,
what I was what you were saying was that there's like a big subset of people that turn on DoorDash whenever, and then they go online and or they're outspoken about not having their platinum status, and like they're is that what you're saying? You're talking about people that are speaking for the fact that DoorDash sucks and acceptance rate sucks, but they don't even work the platform no more. Is that
that's
what you're
what I'm
talking about?
saying. That's what I'm kind of saying. Like we, you know, there are a lot of us that have moved on from working an app, right? But we're still concerned
Oh,
about a tier. We're concerned about a tier program that doesn't affect us. Do you understand what I'm saying? So for me, I think if we have a problem with a tier program, I get it, or acceptance rate. But I'm going to be more empathetic and understanding to somebody that's like actually has an 80% AR and is not making any money, right? Versus somebody that has a 2% AR and doesn't even work, barely works DoorDash, but they're worried about a system that they're not impacted by. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's
yeah,
just kind of
yeah,
like it doesn't make a lot of sense because that you've chosen to not play the game anymore, right? So what
yeah.
difference does it make
But
to you as an individual, as an independent contractor? If you're independent, why do you care about an app and another driver's experience on the app? Like it does. Like, are
y-
we independent or are we employees? That sounds like a union. You want everybody to be the same. You want everybody to have equal rights. That's what a union is, right? You're fighting for that. But so it's like the levels of like it doesn't make sense to me. You know, maybe it shouldn't. I don't know. I try to rack my brain with it, but like it doesn't. Like we used to play football, right? I used to play football and I didn't like those refs, so I decided to go play soccer now. I like my experience over here, but I'm still thinking and worrying and talking about the refs from the football game. I'm not playing football anymore. So what am I fighting for here? So now I'm going to have legislation that's going to help that football referee do better things and be more fair. But then now that's going to bleed into my soccer game because we're not thinking about the
how
other
is it gonna
apps.
bleed in? How does it bleed into your
Well,
soccer game?
because if we get rid of metrics on DoorDash, you have
Yeah.
to get rid of them on all the apps. But the other catering apps that some of us are making money on have metrics. So, and they should have metrics,
Right.
because
Yeah.
if I'm a day one catering delivery driver and I never delivered catering before, should I get $1,000 order, or should it go to somebody that has done that 500 times? It should go to somebody that's done it 500 times. You should have to, in that catering world, you should have to build the level of responsibility and level of trust with that app based on your experience, your score, your on time, your cancellation rate, right? So we can't say I want to get rid of all the metrics, but then understand how is that going to bleed into the other lines of the gig apps. I don't think we've really thought it through all the way, but I
So
could be wrong.
it's
I
like
don't know.
if we kill acceptance rate, then that would bleed into catering.
Well, because acceptance rates are metrics, right? So if we're going to get rid of that, there are people saying I want no metrics. It's illegal. No metrics at all. You got to get rid of all of them.
Well, nah, we should have metrics. I mean, the metrics right now, we're dealing with the quality score, like that's going on right now. And I have to reference DoorDash, and I've been referencing DoorDash because they are the leader. They make decisions, and
Yes.
then the other ones follow
Yes.
suit.
That's a good point.
So
You're
we
right.
have, what is it, the quality score, that is flawed, right? Because I don't do it in a car. I'm dying to get the quality score because I'm gonna be the one
Yeah.
with like a zero percent acceptance rate,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna
Yeah.
be the one delivering the fastest to all the places either way, because I'm on a bike, I'm not on a car. But now we're seeing the quality score. The drivers are having an issue with it. It's also this is what I mean by a mediator, right? Like if we don't, if they make it impossible, if they don't set us up to win, then come we have to come together and make and emphasize what is important because we also want to provide good service. People that actually make a living off of this, obviously, like
Yes.
me,
Yes.
you, bro, they like, dude, we don't want it to go back. Like we don't want it to go to nothing.
No,
But
we
with
want the
this
customer to
acceptance
have a
rate, it's
good.
like,
We want the customer to
yeah,
have a good experience because
yeah,
we
dude,
need them to keep ordering. We need
we
them to
want
keep
to do it,
ordering. Yeah.
bro. You get $100 order and you deliver it in a bike, and then you drive. You want to do your best.
Yeah.
So I think there's something to say about it, but to me, dude, this isn't, bro. The administration just pushed for AI and all this stuff. We're about to start losing jobs. If you think that this contracting work stuff, and I'm not talking to you specifically, if you think this contracting work stuff stops at last mile delivery, I highly doubt it. I
Mm.
don't think that's going to happen. These aren't going to be the only companies that are going to be cutting labor costs and
No, there are a
issuing
lot of
contracts.
other sectors. A lot
Yeah.
of other sectors. Nursing, school teach. Like a lot of work's going to IC because that's the way the companies don't have to pay benefits, and it gets rid of their liability on some levels of attracting, entertaining employees and training and all that stuff. You turn it into an app based thing on some level, and it saves them a lot of money. Yeah.
But it's like, dude, like I'm there with you. I think the I think I believe that the ratings, like, are you showing up on time? Do you look present like, is there, the 5-star rating, the 4-star rating? Like, why is there a specific reason why you got a thumbs down? Also, I don't know if you know this, man. I know you have been working DoorDash, but the transparency thing makes a lot of sense to me. And you could strategize against that transparency. Like if people show me exactly the number amounts, which they don't, I don't know if
Mm.
everyone knows here, but DoorDash skims a lot of mileage on deliveries. And the whole game about like, oh, this might be more money and then it's 50 cents, right? Like all these dumb
Yeah.
games that they do just to
A
keep
lot
us
of games.
compliant. It's a
A
lot
lot
of
of games.
compliance that is not, it shouldn't be required. It shouldn't be something that we need in order to come out and do what we know how to do.
Yeah.
So I kind of some people throw away that transparency thing and they're like, oh, we really don't need it. But it's like, no, dude, like I see how they play games. I
Yeah.
see it. Like you accept an order,
Yeah.
it's like, and then it turns into a different dollar amount. You accept an order from a grocery store on Uber, and it's like four little containers, and two of them are missing. You deliver it, and your $6 tip is taken away.
Yeah.
Which I'm
I've
cool
had
about,
that happen.
whatever.
I've had that happen.
Right,
Yeah. It
bro. So
sucks.
and then could you, like, for example, on that grocery order specifically, has it just been sitting there for a while because somebody canceled it, or is it because like the customer tipped $10 and they strategically tip $10 because they know
Yeah.
maybe there isn't 10 containers at that store, you know, whatever the case is.
Yeah.
The same
Yeah.
thing
Yeah.
happens at Sephora with Instacart. People tip like $25 knowing that like
Just to get their
3 of the
makeup.
2
Yep.
items. Bro, it's like, dude, it's like, yo, like at the same time, this transparency thing, I think people shun
Yeah.
it and they throw it away. But dudes that have been in for years, like me, you, a couple other heads, like, dude, nah. At the same
No,
time,
I
it's like,
think
oh,
I
this
we
25 turned
should
into
have
like
it.
a,
We should
yeah,
have it, and overall, we deserve it. Overall, it can make you more money for sure. I don't think I'm not against transparency really in any way. I just don't think it's the biggest issue, in my opinion, right? And I think we think DoorDash and
no, it's
Uber are the
not.
only ones
Yeah.
that aren't transparent. You know, I think all the apps on some level aren't transparent. I did Curry and Roadie, and it'll tell you one item, it gives you dimensions, but you don't know what it is. So where's the transparency there? Right? You have
Right.
to. You understand what I'm saying? So like, we got some people are like, this app's transparent. No, it's not trans. You know, like it's really weird the logic behind some of it. All the apps are, but we only pick on DoorDash, and they're the big bad wolf. I get it. They deserve it. You know, like they do. Them and Uber do the worst. They do the most. It's bad. You know, but AMC man, I appreciate your time, brother. I'm gonna get to the next person. I appreciate the candor tonight, man. I hope you're safe. I hope you had a great week, and I hope to see you again, man.
Take it easy, bro.
All right, man. All right, all right, all right. Yeah, transparency. Listen, we need it. We do deserve it. I stand by that. I do. I do. I do. I just don't. It's not on the top of my list, but that's just me. It's just my personal list of things that I would like to see fixed. That's not on the top of the list. Also, because we're independent contractors, right? That's what we like to say. But if I can find hidden tips, that's an advantage for me. Do you understand? So if we have pay transparency, do I think I'll make more money? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Right? But if, I know I'll make more money if I have a competitive advantage of knowing how the app hides it and where to be and what merchant hides it and what orders hide it, what times it. Like, that's an advantage. I want that advantage. I'm sorry, I'm just being honest. So having some things change will level and even the playing field. You understand what that means? Like it will level it out. I think some of us are like, well, I want to know. I bet in most markets, if we had pay transparency, the difference in the amount of money you make would be so nominal, so small, you see no significant change. I would put my channel's life on that. That if you made $60,000 this year, having full transparency in your marketplace, you might have made 60,000 plus an extra $100. So we're fighting for $100. I'm not fighting for $100 because I know I can make more than $100 that year by having a competitive advantage by knowing what is hidden and where and making those decisions as an independent contractor, having the level of knowledge of my marketplace, right? I think that's extremely important. That sets many of you and sometimes myself apart from the other driver that might not have that information and they have to get that information through trial and error, hustling, right? So if we just want everything to be equal, why is somebody that just signed up on the app, why should like I should be above? I've been doing this for 5 years. There's a level of knowledge there, a certain level of skill of order selection. I want to have that competitive advantage. And I believe getting rid of all these things and adding other things does not give me a competitive advantage anymore. Does that make sense to anybody? I could That's me personally, because that's how I like to work the gig apps. That doesn't mean that if somebody thinks differently and they want this or want that, that doesn't mean it's right or wrong. I enjoy having a competitive advantage that in my opinion, when I have any facts based behind it, because I don't know every driver in St. Louis. I'll get the next panelist up in just 20 seconds. I feel like based on some people I met, based on what I know, I do have a competitive advantage most of the time when I step out my door and turn the apps on versus the average driver in my marketplace. I believe that. My metrics are good that matter on all the apps. They always have been. And if I've gotten deactivated or something, it was either my fault, DoorDash, I did that, I made a video, or Spark, somebody on YouTube reported me. The other apps, my Instacart account right now, looking pretty juicy. I'm doing what I got to do. I'm putting the time and the effort. My stuff's good. I got diamond, and I see benefits of it. So I earned that through a hustle, through knowledge, where to be here, where to be here. learning from people on TikTok. There's a whole community of Costco people on TikTok, and I've learned Costco Instacart, and I've learned some interesting things. Some of it I share with you guys. That's a competitive advantage. And if we just want to level the playing field with legislation, what advantage do I have when I turn the apps on tomorrow? We're all the same. There isn't any other line of work in independent contractor where everybody is just the same. That's a union. Unions, you can't get fired, barely get fired. Everybody's the same. Everybody gets the same pay grade. And if you get certification, boom, now you're making 20, 25. Now you make that. I don't want that. It's like it's weird what we're asking for, but not realizing what that means. Do we want a competitive advantage working the gig apps or not? Anyways, I like to go on these tangents. I just, I'm in a great mood today. It's been a fantastic day, anyways. A lot of you guys have been waiting a long time. I apologize. I try to, I'm bringing everybody up, and I promise that. Let's bring up Mindset is next. He looks like he's a little disgruntled with me. He's been waiting too long. What's up, brother?
What's up, man? What's up, man? First thing
I'm
I want to say,
chilling,
man.
man.
First thing I want to say, love the videos. I respond on all of them. I like the
Appreciate
content.
you, man. Appreciate you very much. How
Um,
was your week, man? Let me start with
hey,
that first before we get into your
my
topic.
week was normal. You said it before. You have to adapt. You have to pay attention. You have to watch what you're doing. And that's where I same thing like you. That's where I feel like I have a advantage because I do this with a different intent. I don't know if everybody can tell that, but my name's Mindset Man. I have a whole nother mindset when it comes to this thing. But I want to hit on a couple topics as well.
Yeah.
One of them is, we've said a lot of things, so I have a lot of things. Transparency. With me, it's not so important, but it is. I'll tell you why. I used to do rideshare as well. I started out doing this thing with rideshare, Uber. And it was very odd to me when I found out that we weren't getting paid that the people were paying way more than what we were getting paid. And how I found that out was through a customer. I didn't know. I was just doing the app. I was just out there. Hey, I'm making $25 because I'm taking this person to the airport. And the guy was just like, man, when he got out of right before he got out of the car, he was like, yo, you're gonna do good with that $80, huh? $80? 80 bucks?
You mean 40, 30? What are you talking about?
Yeah, boy, I'm giving 35. And then he showed me his side. There's transparency. We're doing it in the car with each other. So that was my first encounter with transparency. And I was like, oh. Now, that customer felt like I got dogged out because he felt like he was paying me, not DoorDash. You seeing what I'm saying? He felt like that was my money.
Right.
You see, so that's the angle no one's talking about with the transparency as well. They're going, oh, you can get in trouble, or no, it's not all bad. It's not. Transparency is not all bad. It will help you. It may harm you, but it will help you in bigger ways as well. Now we move on to food with the transparency. Listen, yes, customers should know where their money is going. If I were paying for something, I want to know where every dime went. On the receipt, it tells me the tax. It tells me that, you get what I'm saying? So I want to know that on the driver's side, the deliverer side. Let me give you a story. Yesterday, I got a two-part order. Three-part. I got two shopping and one of food. The two Winn-Dixie orders went bad. I called customer service. They went off. They left. So I'm upset. I'm in my feelings because I'm losing money and I wasted all my time inside the Winn-Dixie. The food was $6, right? Going to a restaurant. I went, picked up the food. When I get there, it is 4 bags. Now, because it was a triple order, it didn't have no plus sign or no banner saying it was. So I'm like, 3 big old bags. I'm like, whoa, for $6?
Yeah.
like, right? So I told you I was already in my feelings too. So I'm like, wait a minute. So I'm picking this stuff up and I'm going. I'm in my feelings, man. I'm like, man, these people are crazy, man. I'm about to leave this stuff at the store. I'm all over the place.
Yeah,
but
I've been there. Yeah.
But I'm doing it, right? Hold on. I get there, I drive to the place, and I get there and I go, there's a security guard. I no, first when I pull up, I go, it's a business? Oh, these people have the nerve. You got me with all this food, you pay me $6?
Yeah.
So I get there, I'm going through the building. There's a security guard lady. Oh, I'm letting her have it. I said, I might wind up on Instagram today. I might wind up. The lady like, what do you mean? What do you mean? So they got to know I might lose my job. I might get a deactivation today. I say why? Because they got to know they're wrong. This is wrong. This is over $200 worth of food. There's no way you're gonna make me carry all this stuff for $6. Get up there. I go in the elevator. The lady lets me up. She's like, you're right. That's $6. And that's like, I go up the elevator. I'm in my feelings, but I'm trying to be. I'm trying to be professional. And I get up there. No one's there. Nothing but the secretary lady on the floor. And I get there, and I can't keep the little bit of unit off my face. I'm doing my job, and I'm like,
yeah.
She's like, put the stuff over there. Well, you could put the tray over there. And I'm like, ma'am, this is a lot of food. It's not one area. I'm gonna need a bigger area than that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So she tells me, okay. So I put out all. It's about 20 freaking trays of food. Long story short, she signs. As soon as she signed out, $40. That thing turned to $40. I felt so bad, bro. I felt so bad, bro.
You felt a little bit of that guilt, didn't you?
You what? And went downstairs and said, "Don't dash be fucking playing games. Why do you need to show me that shit off the rip?" Transparency.
Yeah.
Transparency. That's what.
So your point is, if you would have seen the 40 from the beginning, your mindset.
Oh man, this delivery would have been out.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah. You would have been smiling. How y'all doing today? I got your food.
You know what I mean? I would have gave them my full customer service.
You probably would have been thankful. Hey, thanks for the great tip. I really appreciate it. Yeah.
So what I'm telling you is that's what transparency is for as well. It's not just these, okay? And I feel like DoorDash should never do that, and it is against the law. It's not right. They can't do it. They're not supposed to do that. Being honest. Moving on past the transparency, I'm just giving little nuance because it's like people gotta understand it. Like everybody's been where I just said. Everybody's been. You know what I mean? Everybody, and that's what the transparency. It keeps that emotion out of it. You can automatically make a decision, and you know what's going on.
It's a good point. You know what I mean? It keeps the emotion out of it. Yeah, it does.
On both ends, even the customer. Okay. Now, what I want to talk about with that Prop 22 thing. I did my research on that, right? And that's another thing I was going to say too about emotion. Everybody's using that when it comes to these topics we're talking about. No, a lot of us are not really doing research. We're not really, we're just going off our emotions. We're just going off what we think or our experiences out here. And when we're talking about things like Prop 22, Prop 22 is only in Cali. No one really knows. A lot of us on here don't really know what Prop 22 is.
Correct, because they're not in California.
There you go. Go do your research. Okay, go do your research. That's what I'll tell everybody. And I did my research. Prop 22 is pretty good. What it does is it keeps your pay. It keeps you from going down so much. So you can make more if you want. Okay, but you won't go down but ever so low. And that's a beautiful thing too. As far as it also helps you with insurance, or it gives you a gas allowance as well. People don't know that either. So the Prop 22, and that's where it starts becoming very good. That's why people will tell you it starts, because they're not only giving you the 120% towards the minimum wage, but they're also giving you the gas allowance too, 36 cents a mile.
Mike said, I haven't met one. I've been in California 4 times. I haven't met one person that looked at me and said, I don't like Prop 22. Not one human being.
The reason why they're saying that is because of that. Now I did some math, and that's where I come to play, because I don't play about that.
You're a numbers guy. I know.
Okay. All right. With Prop 22 to 120%, they make approximately $20, $19.50. That's their lowest they can go. doing their hours. Okay, they make that extra 36 cents a mile that they do. Now, I did my research. That's why they do. That's why they go so long. The longer you're out there, the more pay opportunity you get. Also, on both ends, you do 12 hours of any type of gig work, you're gonna make 12-hour money. You see, you get what I'm saying? It's based off your knowledge and your market space, but you make 12-hour money. Now, what they take away from it is you don't need knowledge. You don't need to know everything. You're never gonna drop below this. All you need to do now is work.
Yeah.
You see,
and
so
it's the company's way, and the companies put Prop 22 in. That was their rebuttal to employees and benefits. We're going to give you this. So some people don't. I think some people that don't like it because they thought that they sold themselves too short as a workforce in California.
No, as I said, do your research. It's not so much as selling itself short. It's actually it's a catch. It catches you. You know, you won't go below this. And so that's why they put the hours. Look, anybody that they put hours in, boy, they put hours, and they don't care how far they go. You know,
active hours, active. If you're active,
yes, put them hours, because if you work 12 hours, you do 12 hours at $19.50 plus that little 34 cents a mile. You know how much money? You see what I'm saying? So that's where they're catching. Now, what I was saying is balances out because they have a high
cost of living.
Cost of living. Yeah. So back because $20 an hour.
In California, that don't go a long way.
There you go. Now, $20 an hour here where I am, that's decent, but that's pretty much how much I make now. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, but how it wages, and no one knows that when we're talking about everywhere, the Prop 22 is not the same in every state. It depends off your minimum wage. So whatever the minimum wage is in your state or city or whatever, that's how it's based off. So if your minimum wage is $12, you're not going to be making no $19 off that 120. You see what I'm saying? So people gotta do their research and make sure they understand what these things are. Okay. Moving on past a Prop 22, because I was like, sounds like, but when I looked at it, I said, I see why people like it. You don't listen. I did the math. You know, I'm a math guy, and hold on. If I work 12 hours a day, I'm good. You work 10, 11 hours a day. Prop 22, you don't even care.
Well, and that's the thing. That's the thing, is that it can keep you. The people that want to be active and work towards that, they can do that. The people that want to cherry pick, it might be a little more difficult in some situations. But I've met both people on both sides of the spectrum that have different ARs in California. I've met these people, drivers, and they just figure it out. There's a lot of different ways you can still make money in California,
and it's
with
market
Prop 22
dependent
only or not. So
it's market dependent, and your knowledge too is still based off your knowledge.
There's still knowledge. Yep. There's still market knowledge. Yes.
Okay. Now, what we were talking about, transparency. We were talking about metrics. I want to talk about metrics. That is against the law. Metrics are for employees. I found that out through research. So I am on the fence now. I do love metrics, but you can't be an independent contractor with any kind of metrics. That's why you have people saying they don't want to get rid of them all the way. It's not so much as they don't believe, like they don't feel like metrics are good in certain ways, but it's against the law almost. You can't call me an independent contractor and put any kind of metric on me. You can't even give me warnings. You can't, you know what I mean? So when you look at it from a legal standpoint or from the rules, some people go by that, then you're like, they're wrong. They're doing wrong. Okay. We do understand that these companies, and a lot of people like say, yes, everyone got to understand companies are companies. No company is doing people 100% right.
That's a very valid point. W-2 or a contractor work, subcontractor, sports teams, like whatever.
Why you got a union?
Yeah. For
those W-2s? The unions, because the W-2 jobs are doing people wrong.
Yeah. Yep.
So I get we like I said, people use a lot of emotions here and stuff. The number one thing, like you keep saying, It's all market dependent. Your knowledge, what you know, and that is what drives it. Because when he did the 20, when I did that money figure on it, I said, well, in California, those people make more money, and that's why you can see them making more money on the apps there. And I'm like, if I had my knowledge, I wouldn't even need props.
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing. I make pretty much $20 an hour here or more, and it's based off my knowledge. Now I am working the metrics, and I love them. That AR is whipping my ass, but I get around it. I figure it out. You get what I'm saying? Right now I'm sitting at 86.
That's
I didn't
high.
make my 200. I made 176 today because of matrix, because I'm trying to keep my matrix up.
Right.
Okay. So my mark is 200 a day. I made 176 because I sat down some because I'm trying to keep my matrix up. I took some rides I don't normally take, but because I'm trying to keep my matrix up. But that's neither here or there. It's market dependent too. I want to tell people that. If you're in a cherry pick out the best market. I like to give pointers out too. I don't like to just say what cherry pick out the best markets. You guys got to do your research. You got to study. Full-time drivers know this. Part-time drivers know a little. But people that's just coming out here talking about, like you saying, they want to make a little money. You guys don't know what you're doing. I heard a lady today inside McDonald's. She asked me, she said, yo, are the morning hours good? Like, are they worth it? And I'm looking at her, yeah, because I do it at night. And I said, right now, stop. The morning hours, I'm doing it. These are filler hours. You don't make $20 an hour in the morning. I don't care who you are. Like you say, I bet you no one in here makes $21 an hour for the morning because it doesn't work like that.
Maybe not on DoorDash, but there might be other apps where you.
No, it's not. Well, yeah, I'm saying because it doesn't work like that. I use the morning for the filler. It adds to my whole. Everybody knows that at night you can make 100, 120. So if I'm working at night and I make $100 and $120, and I never work the morning, or I only want to start in the afternoon. If you work the morning, that's just an extra $40 for you. It's an extra 40. It adds to the whole, even though, yeah, you work, because I work 7 hours in the morning and 4 in the afternoon. Yeah. And I make more money than I made. And I watch that all the time. People got to do that. Do your research, study, watch what's going on. You can maneuver. You'll figure it out. But you have to.
I like that you bring that up, because I've always thought there are times that when you're looking at your profitability, your money, and then after that, okay, how much profit did I make? My gas costs, fuel costs.
You have to do that.
You should know how much gas is it going to cost me on average. If I need to make $100, how much is that in fuel? For me, it's like $8, $9, $10, right? So if I wake up an hour early, do a morning filler shift for an hour or something, okay, I can make enough money to cover my gas costs for the whole day. If I want to make $200, I just made $20 in that hour. Boom. My gas costs are covered for the day. So the rest of my day is mostly profitable, right? That's how we should be thinking. Like,
but you
breaking down your day into segments of that, but yeah.
It takes experience. And a lot of people like to give opinions when they don't, like you were saying, you don't really depend on this. It's not what you do. You get what I'm saying? You're out here, and then people, it's different. That's why I said a lot of this is for full timers, people that do this and depend on it. I am one of them. Yeah. I do this every day of the week. I do it 10 or more hours every single day. Okay. And I support myself with a 1-bedroom apartment, my car, and my kids, meaning I do what I can for my children, but I take care of every bill in my house, all my phone bill, every bill.
That's amazing. I salute that. I love that. I love that you can use any gig app or any line of work. Listen, just to do that. That's important, and you realize it. But I think we get lost in like, I gotta have this. I'm not making. Hey, are you able to provide for your family? You got bills paid. Did you eat today? Like these are things that a lot of people can't even do with a regular job. But you're able to do it, and you got an 86% AR. I salute that 100%. Oh, you're muted. Hold on. I gotta unmute you. Hold on. Okay, go ahead. No, your mic's muted. I think you muted yourself. Unmute.
Okay,
All right,
sorry.
there, you're back. You're back. Go
I
ahead.
can't, I can't, I can't stand, I can't stand the AR. That I'm just gotta keep that 100 because
Oh,
it
sure,
does.
sure.
It plays with your emotions. It have you all over the place. No.
Oh, okay, hold on. Let me ask you a question though. I mentioned the AR because you mentioned it earlier. Like that's what
Yeah,
yours is, and today you made 170 something because you're chasing it. Do
yeah,
you?
I'm chasing
But
it.
have you tried other apps? Have you signed up for something
I'm
else?
only okay. Being honest with you, I don't know how to sign up with other apps just yet. Like I tried to do deliver that because of another guy. It won't let me do it. I tried the come on. It's a catering app. Come on, everybody do it. It's a big time catering app.
Delivered, Zifty,
Delivered, Sifty. It's one where
Expedite,
it tells you have to be your own business and you have to go to the people and
Dumpling.
okay, it's like a waiting list. I don't know. I can't. I want to, but it's like you
Let me
know.
can I you've been on hold up. You've been on the channel now probably 4 or 5 times, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And I appreciate that, man. I really, really do. And I noticed you came on about a month ago, I believe, for the first time, somewhere in there, right? Can I offer you a small challenge?
Go ahead.
Okay. So you just said to us publicly you work every day, right? Right now you're working
Every
7
single
days
day.
and you're hustling. You're working 10, 12, 11 hours, whatever, right? Like you're out
Yeah.
there, you're grinding, doing what you got to do. Sometime this month in September, okay? So we still got 3 weeks in the month, right?
Mhm.
If you can, I want you to take 1 or 2 hours out of the month. Whether that means, hey, I just instead of working 12 hours, I'm gonna work 10. Instead of working 10, I'm gonna work 8. And don't be distracted. No kids if you can make it happen, or if you're still in your car, And I want you to use the power of Google, my brother. Google. And I want you to look at delivery apps in my marketplace. I literally want you to type that in Google or whatever, right? And I want you to spend an hour or two doing some research because you mentioned earlier, hey, I did some research talking about Prop 22, like you're a numbers guy. And I want you to sign up for 3 new apps. Okay? 3. Even if you never heard of it, I want you to sign up for 3 and try to get on them, see what the process is. Don't get frustrated with it. Maybe there's a waiting
I want
list.
to do Spark. I want to do Spark.
Okay. 3. No, I'm saying 3.
Okay.
And out of those 3, I'm pretty confident you'll probably be able to get on at least 1, if not 2 of the 3. If you're lucky, all 3. But realistically, you'll probably add 1 or 2 to your arsenal, right? And I think based on what I've done, what other people have done, if you could take those 1 or 2 new apps and marry it with your DoorDash app, I think you'll make more money and you might not have to chase the AR.
No, I didn't. I'm not really chasing the air. I'm doing a little experiment because I'm a guy that when everything I say can be proven or factual, and I want to make sure you understand that. So when I'm saying something, it can be proven or it's factual. Meaning, when I'm chasing this AR right now because I want to prove a point. There are things that people don't understand. It's the ways of thinking. That's why I tell people it's a mindset. Right now, I'll just think about that. I'm chasing the AR. I don't chase the AR. I stay around 76. Okay, that's why 76, 78. I don't really chase it. I use it to my advantage. There are certain days. You gotta know the days of the weeks. You gotta know when and where.
Yeah.
Long story short. But right now, because of the way things are, I'm chasing the AR. I'm gonna get it to 100. The reason why, that is 30 declines. Nobody's understanding that's 30 declines.
Rolling 100, 30 declines. Yeah.
Okay, that's 30 declines. Now listen. If I can get my jump up to 100 by Thursday, that means Friday I could decline 10. That means Saturday I could decline 10. And Sunday, those are some of the most profitable days.
I see.
Okay, now watch this. I may take a little, like I said, did I make my $200 goal today? No. Because why? I'm chasing AR. I'm at 176. But on Friday, I usually make 200. And I'm like, but I be still scared of the AR. But if I got 10 declines and I wait till lunchtime, are you crazy?
Yeah, I see. Listen. I see everybody, and the thing is, man, you got to work it how you see if there's a
Yeah,
benefit.
but
Listen, I'm just saying, if you can add one or
yes, I did it
two,
with Uber. I used to do Uber first, head
yeah,
Uber the ride share. I used to do Uber, and then lunchtime Uber slow down. So I'm like, wait a minute, it's lunchtime. DoorDash, Uber Eats, because I was on both. DoorDash, Uber Eats, and that little 1 hour, 2 hour, I'll make $50. So I use, you know what I mean? I use it as a buffer that way. So I get what you're saying. And yes, I can use
yeah,
Spark. I've seen people use Spark like that. I've seen people
yeah,
use Deliver that. Like
yeah,
there's a guy on UDM. He
yeah,
does that. He does DoorDash, and he always has like 3 or 4 caterings throughout the
yep,
day,
yep,
76.
yep,
And I'm like, that guy making a lot of money.
yeah.
Because it don't take long to do those caterings.
And
And
that's what I'm saying. When you can fold in another opportunity, because sometimes
yeah,
these other apps can be really good in the morning. This one's good in the afternoon. This one gives me a pre-claim. This one's good late night. And then
understood.
you're probably going to hit that 200. Maybe not every day. You'll hit it quicker, or maybe sometimes quicker and with less miles. Or you'll hit it instead of 200, you're hitting 225. So then that extra 25 every day is a couple $100 a week. Then that's like $500 a month. Then
And
you got a
and
lot
I
more
like to give people
flexibility with the money.
numbers. I like to give people numbers.
Yeah,
I said it before, but I'll say it again to everybody. Everybody's $100 a day for 30. That's why I work every day, because stores are open every day, bro. And if you look at it like a business, that's why I work every. It's not like I'm killing myself. I work every day because that's the way the market is. We are. If people are in the food or the stores that you pick up the package, they're over 7 days. So you gotta look at this in these type of metrics. When people are eating, what people eat, the demographic of people. That's why the businesses are where they are, because they pick these areas based off the people.
yeah.
You gotta do the same thing. Now, what I'm saying, what I'm saying to you is that, I kind of lost my point. I work every day because of that. If I make $100 a day, that's $3,000. Just $100, 30 days, and $100 is not hard to make. Like I said, you could go one shift, the dinner shift. So so I do this because it's like, hold on, that's why I make more, and I make over $1,000 every week. Every week.
You should listen. You
So,
should. But my challenge to you, and I want you to think about it for September. This is I like to challenge the community sometimes because you guys
no, I
challenge
got you,
me.
and I may be calling you to help me out. I'll go on Google, but I may be like emailing you or whatever.
Just
If
hey,
I
email
want to do it as well.
my email is in the about section of my, or it's Mr.BetonYou81@gmail.com. You can find it on my about section. Email me in the middle of the month if you haven't yet,
Yeah,
or you did. Let me know what I'll be helpful if I can. But I think, based on what I know and what other people have done and what they've been able to show off YouTube or on a YouTube, that $1,000 could easily achieve like attainable, reachable, achievable goals. I'm all about that. I'm not trying to say you're gonna make 2,000 a month or 2,000 a week. You know what I'm saying? Like that 1,000, if you add an app or two, easily could be 1,200. You can add
understood.
200. You can add $200 a week on average and work the same amount of hours, and that's a good amount of money, a 20%
Yeah,
increase. So
yeah,
just think about that for this month. You know what I'm saying, and
yeah.
see what you can do with that. So
And I, like I said, I love the content. I've been watching you
I
way
appreciate
before
you,
this,
man.
and I'm new to the whole social media world. This is my first times, but this is something that, like I said, I'm very passionate about this because I feel as though it's a mindset for everyone. I want to make sure I leave everyone with this. You got to take your emotions out of this. Maybe it's because I've had a lot of experiences in a lot of different jobs, from customer service to hard labor, from delivery to teaching. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I use worldly. When I'm out there, I use a lot of different examples, a lot of different things to make decisions. Like today, I came up with one. I like to give it up. Fuck that. On DoorDash, they do the food. They do the grocery stores. The best times to do it is the 15th, Friday and Saturday, you guys. Don't be doing it in the middle of the week. Don't cut it on. Use it as a filler for the slow period in the day. It gives you more opportunities to make money during the slow time of the day if you're a full-time person. You get me? But don't really cut it on, especially during the hot times, because it just takes up too much time. I don't care what you say. Shopping takes up too much time. Okay?
Those lines sometimes, and I've done a
It takes
lot of
up too much
shopping.
time. It kills
a lot of time.
yes, you got $30 you're making with this 4 miles you're going, but you spent 30 minutes, 45 minutes. You get what I'm saying? To do shopping because it's a 40 item count. I'm just trying to the 15th, Friday, Saturday, those are some of the best times to do it. You should, those are the times you want to turn it on if you're gonna turn it on. But that's what I'm saying. I came up with that because I'm like, it was killing me. It was killing. I'm like, wow, what's my money going down and what? I was busy as heck. Hold up. And I realized cut it off. And I realized, okay, I know what I'm doing. So, I use a lot of different worldly things to understand. Like I tell people, my car is a work truck. It's not my car. If I'm gonna do this full time, you guys, you can't be thinking about my miles. That car is no longer. Don't think about your depreciating the car. There are work trucks out here that got over 1 trillion miles on it. As long as you keep the maintenance up on your car keep working. That's your money maker now. It's valuable to you.
It's a tool.
It's valuable to you. It's not valuable to the next person because you're not trying to sell it and make you money now. So everybody got to change their mindset. It's a mindset. A lot of W-2 people are coming into this. This is not a W-2. This is not you thinking that you're gonna come out here and work the same way you work in your house. No, it's different. And then a lot of people think this is sweet. It's not. You know how much brainstorming you do a lot of brainstorming. I do a lot of brainstorming. Like you said, it's because you go out here and every day, I know I'm doing a little bit better than that person because of my work experience, because of how I move, what I do, when I do. And you're that person that's just coming on the app. They don't, that's new to this. You got a better advantage over them.
An advantage, I think, for most. I mean, and I think most of us should, if we've been doing this because it's even hard. It doesn't take long to learn a market. If you've been doing it for 2 years plus, you should have an advantage over most people because most people.
But you have to go back to that same market. So you have to spend time in that market. You can't just jump all right. I'm not here to do it, but you gotta spend time in your market. Pay attention to what's going on. Pay attention to your gas mileage. Pay attention to what you're doing. A lot of people don't know. Like there's a way of doing this. Like I have to pause. I don't play. I cherry pick out of one spot. But don't start short. Let somebody else on. I appreciate it, man.
I appreciate you, man. Hey, listen.
And
September, 2 hours this month. That's your challenge. Anytime through this month, give yourself 2 hours to do some research on some other apps. I think you might actually come out ahead when you get to October.
No, I will. Because trust me, I have the heart of dedication. I will.
I'll leave you with this. What's going to happen in most markets, okay? When you hit October, November, December, those 3 months are the busiest 3 months in the gig economy for what we do. Food delivery, cater. Those people are spending money. It's cold. They don't want to leave their house. They don't want to do this. Companies spending money on this, that. So if you can get another 1 or 2 apps, you're gonna increase your money, man. I'll talk to you later, brother. I appreciate you, man.
All right.
All right. I still got gentlemen waiting. I'm gonna get all y'all up. I'm getting all y'all up. We gotta be on here for 3 hours. That's what we're gonna do tonight. A few people I see waiting. I see Ryan, Dashin. I see Monkey. I see Roy. Roy's back. What's Roy doing? Roy was already here. What are you doing, Roy? What are you doing? I'm gonna bring everybody up though. Let's bring. Let me give some shout outs to the people in the chat. I haven't been looking at the chat because I'm trying to really, engage with the panelists that are coming up. But a lot of people have been putting in some good things, some silly things. I want to give a couple of shout outs. I see Serb's in here, Badger, Bobby's in here, Mike Don't Care, Adam, Jeff Roy, Moni. I see who else? Mike Don't Care again. Just want to give a couple shout. I don't want to completely ignore the people that are helping keep the lights on. Listen, when y'all chat, you're helping me keep the lights on. I appreciate that. I just want to say thank you real quick. All right, Ryan, let's bring Ryan up. He's been waiting a long time. Ryan, what's up, man?
Hey, good to be back, man.
Good to see you, man. Good to see you. How's your week been?
It's boring, same old shit, but it's a good thing. No news is good news, Something must be up or really good if Roy's back on, so I can't wait to hear.
You're probably right. Maybe let's see how long. I'm not going to keep everybody on too. Maybe we started with Roy. We can end with Roy. That's probably appropriate, right? But the floor is yours now. What do you have on your mind? What do you want to bring to the community tonight?
So before I get into what I wanted to say or talk about, I'm just going to make two quick observation statements about what other people said. And actually, one of
Okay.
them's about Roy and about the union stuff and all that. Having been a union member for almost 20 years in my former career as a railroad employee, I was part of 3 different unions. They definitely have their benefits; they're good. But something Mindset said that is understandable both ways is that the companies don't look out for you and they're screw you, they'll find different ways and all that unions help protect or protections for employees. However, when you do get a union and you do other things, a lot of times employees are shit employees, I'll be honest. And
Yeah, because
because
they
you're
hide behind
protected,
that, right?
exactly,
Yeah.
you're protected.
Yeah.
I've been with the guys 30 years and he doesn't do a lick of work and he won't get fired, he's not worried, and other people are breaking their backs for the same pay.
Mm.
And they're like one of the things, kind of like the Thanos thing in Marvel, I always say is, at what cost did you get it? You know, there's
Mm.
always going to be a cost. What is it? Cost benefit analysis, and you're not going to get all these good things without a cost to it. So you got to think
Good
about
point.
that stuff. And when you go that route, there's no going back usually. So you got to be careful what you want.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think for the net benefit and what most people see is the benefits and the pay, which is great. Don't get me wrong. I made great money. I made up to 15K a month being a railroad engineer. You
Mm-hmm.
can't complain with that. And it was hard to get fired, all these things. However, be honest, it made me a very lazy person, very lazy employee.
Mm.
It made my life worse, to be honest, personally. And that's
Interesting.
why I
Interesting.
quit. I couldn't do it no more. I was like not a slave, but like numb work. And now the train's automated, so I don't even have to drive them as much anymore. So anyway, there's, like I said, it's not all cracked up to be. But for people that are making less money and always paycheck to paycheck, I can understand how that can be
Yeah.
very appealing. And what we dealt with too is, okay, well, if we're paying more, instead of having 2 men in the cab having a conductor and engineer, we're just going to have an engineer. So what do you
Yeah.
do? It takes away jobs. And so there, yeah,
Yeah.
I just want to point that out. And then
Yeah.
with Mindset said too, with the apps and all the, like you were telling him, there's so many apps out there and so many opportunities, and different, it doesn't have to be driving.
Yeah.
One of the apps that I used recently that I don't even pay attention to or not is Indeed Flex. And Indeed has their own gig work app. And I literally went to University of Texas and sat there for 6 hours just handing out water, sitting in a chair, handing out waters to students moving in. $20 an hour. That's all I did. So, you just gotta look and just not put driving, just put work in my area or gig work. And you can literally, like I said, just go sit somewhere and
Yeah.
pass out water for $20. It
Yeah.
was stupid.
It's
Then they ran out.
amazing. It's amazing what sectors of work and opportunities are going to gig app based or hiring somebody as an independent contractor or paying you that, for a day or a gig
Yeah.
for a week or something for a month. Yeah, there's so many opportunities out there. And I think a lot of us don't know about them. Maybe, you know what I mean? We just don't
Yeah.
know because we're just looking at the major 4 or 5 apps that we know that people talk about. But there's like hundreds of opportunities for many of us.
Yeah, one of the reasons they do that is mainly for tax benefits for the books. It's like liabilities.
Yeah.
There's a lot of reasons why hiring people costs a lot of money for companies, and just alone, like with the railroad, especially you get benefits for hiring veterans, for disabled people with disabilities, things like that. There's actually benefits to hiring certain class of people, and
Yes.
they're very selective on who they hire because it costs a lot to hire them and train them and do all that. So people don't think about that too, and so it's easier for them to subcontract work or gig work or independent contract, whatever you want to call it. There's many different.
Yeah.
It's basically a tax label. That's really all
Yeah.
it is. It's not a label who you and I are. It's a tax thing. But anyway,
Yep.
what I wanted to bring up real quick, well, kind of quick, was it's kind of different from what everybody's talking about and stuff. And I this past couple of weeks, like you said, I've been irritated with YouTube when I've seen about a certain subject that hits home to me because I do it personally, and I've been
Mm-hmm.
meaning to go on live. I was thinking about going TikTok live and calling out some people on this
Mm.
because there is something that I do as a really lucrative side hustle that people are trying to sell courses about on TikTok, and
Interesting. Tell me
and
about it.
it sounds like a scam. And I don't like saying, I'm very hesitant, or I was, to tell people about it, but it's all over. But people don't want to tell people about it because they want to get paid to tell you or teach.
Mm.
And it's so scammy, and it's not a career. It's not even, it takes a special person to do this. I've been doing it 5 years. And basically, I don't know. Have you ever heard on TikTok, there's a thing called the envelope writing, or envelope, get paid to write envelopes.
I have not.
You
No.
have not? Okay. It's
Mm-mm.
very viral. And if you just type that in TikTok or YouTube, there's many, many
Okay.
videos about it. And I'm just saying this, by the way, this is not selling anything. I don't promote it. This is just my experience. Don't go into it. This is what, well, the reason why I'm bringing it up is because my whole thing is I want people to use gig work or driving as a stepping stone, like you were saying back in your older
Yeah.
videos, as to do
Hmm.
something better. And the main thing is just do gig work to work. That's it. Don't even think about it. Just work, and then have your eyes and mind, or like your ears, focused on everything else around you. Because like the simplest thing, while you're at Walmart and Target and stuff, shopping an order maybe. Right now, if there's Pokemon cards out there, there's some cards you can sell for 3 times the amount. So if you're in there,
True.
go look at cards and see if they're there, and go make some money.
Yeah.
Reselling opportunities are out there. If there's an opportunity that you see while you're driving, think about it and focus a little more on that. Now, I tell people don't go all in, don't test it out a little bit, but you're never going to get anywhere if you don't take chances or you don't
Mm.
try things. It's very easy to get into your bubble and like be secure like I was with my career. It's great to have that,
Yes.
but I took that chance and I said, I had a better, like, I'm very privileged because I did have that, and I don't have any kids, never been married, so I understand I come from a privileged spot, but that doesn't mean nobody can take a small chances, and go a long way.
Yeah.
So having said that, I was watching a live stream in 2020, early 2020 or 2019 maybe, and I like to gamble. I like to do my little things, and I watched little gambling streams, and somebody made a comment on the stream about envelopes. I'm like, what? What is that? And then it was immediately deleted. I'm like, what the hell? So I decided to do some research, like mine said, Google, and I was looked into it. And then some of these, like I said, I don't necessarily condone this or we're not. I'm just telling you my experience.
Hmm.
I did some research and found out that in most states, well, about 30 some odd states now, it used to be more, there are online sweepstakes casinos and betting apps that are legal. Even in Texas, that we don't have gambling, but it's
Hmm.
sweepstakes. And
Hmm.
one of the ways they can legally operate in your state is that they have to give you ways to enter for free or play for free. So
Hmm.
one of the ways, while I was waiting, I'm just doing it right now, just filling out these while I'm waiting.
Mm.
And for every little envelope that you fill out, how it has to be handwritten and send out and postage and send out. Um, every site's a little different, but their sites will give you $5 for every envelope they send out. So you do
Five
have to,
bucks for each
yeah.
envelope?
And some are unlimited, some are $3. It depends what site and everything, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you do have to put in your time, obviously, to write. You do have to pay
Sure.
for the stamps, which are kind of expensive, and you do have to wait for that return to come back for them to get it, review it, all that stuff, right?
Yes.
But like
Yes.
I say, I tell people all the time, just do 10. And then 2 weeks from now, do another 10 until you see it come in and you're like, oh, this is legit, or oh, this isn't too bad. And then you can
Yeah.
ramp it up, invest, but don't do like I did and send out 200. It worked out for me, but you never know, you know.
Yeah. I mean, if you could
And
do 10, if you do 10 before you go to bed every night or something,
yeah,
then
so and that's what I was
right.
doing.
Yeah.
So I had Instacart. I loved Instacart. I was platinum or diamond, the highest one, and I was the worst cherry picker ever. I just sat there, and all I was doing was in my car was writing these envelopes. And if I happened to see an order that was really, really good, I'm like, okay, shit, I'll take that. And so that's what I mean. Like, just keep your mind open about, like, you never know where the opportunity will come or the chance, and take that chance. Like I tell people, like, this is the sad part. I'll tell you, there's people that literally know what I do, and I got them on, and they're started getting some in, but they got lazy and they didn't want to keep doing it. And so I actually hired them for $30 an hour, or a certain amount of envelopes they did for me, to do them for me or to help with some of the numbers. And I'm like, I don't understand, because they know they can make like 60, 70, $80 an hour doing
Yeah.
it,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah. That's
they're doing
interesting.
more work for me to help me make more money. And I
You
just,
you you basically subcontracted some of your work
yeah,
out in order to build more money coming in for you, and you were paying them a
yeah.
percentage.
And the
Yeah.
crazy thing is, I paid more because I know they know how much I make and how much I can
Yeah.
make. I made
Right.
like 15K a month sometimes just doing this. And so I felt bad. And I asked the lady, well, she's like, what do you want to pay? I'm like, what do you think's fair? Like, because that's the thing about hiring people, especially as contract work. You don't want to necessarily do it hourly, because then you incentivize them to do less. So it's like, well, I said, I'd rather pay you by envelope. Or if you can do like a minimum of 150 um, per hour, then I'll do at least $30 an hour, pay more, just dependent. Because
Yeah.
if you, like your unions and stuff, you pay well, then you kind of disincentivize people to work harder or better
To
to get
work
to a
harder.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's no incentive if you're equal in their seniority based options and things like that. Then why should you work harder than the next person if you're the next person in seniority is going to get the job and not
Yep.
you? There's no
Yep.
incentive. So yeah, I just want to bring that up, like just mainly just I know that it's a lot about gig work, and this is like a side hustle. It's not really gig work, but
Well,
there's
but
so
I
much.
mean, it's something that I think gig workers could research or look
Yeah.
into or take,
Oh,
not that necessarily that identical hustle, but there are a lot there.
there's
And
so
I've been
much.
saying this, but when I mention or make certain videos, they don't get views. People don't want to, they just want to talk about DoorDash, and I get it. But like, there are so many ways to make money. Like, and I've got some things. I mean, I've had a couple of vending machines for the last almost 6 years now. I have the YouTube, and I've shared some of that. Like I have other things, like coaching things on the side that I do. But like that is like, to me, there's more money into other things I do than the gig work.
Oh
Some
yeah, and
weeks,
like if
like
anybody's curious, like just Google. I'm not gonna give specific sites or nothing. Just
yeah.
Google sweepstakes casinos rules. So it's sweepstakes casinos rules or whatever, and all
Oh,
you
I'm
gotta
gonna
do
Google it. I'm gonna Google it before I go to
all
bed. I'm
all you got
curious
to
now.
do is look good at a certain site, sweepstakes casinos. Scroll down where they have their sweepstakes rules, and then just read the rules, and it'll tell you exactly step by step how to do it. And I hate that people are gatekeeping it on TikTok, and they're charging like $20 a course. Some people charge $40 a month to help you do it all, and it's very simple. You just got to
But
read
that
and
that's it's common. I've seen other ways of making money, and they always charge for this kind of course. A big
yeah,
thing is a digital marketing. There's like a digital marketing things I see on TikTok. A lot of
yeah.
creators, digital marketing. I'll sell you this course, and I'll be your professional whatever. You have my real phone number. I'll make they have their whole TikTok page is like out of these cars and fancy clothes, and they're living in or renting a big house. It can be a little. You gotta like really know and do your own research on it, but sometimes it's about taking a chance too, right?
Yeah.
So like, hey, if it's $100 investment to get on some kind of course to maybe make some money, is it worth it? Probably. If you could just not buy Starbucks for a month, maybe you can save $100 doing that. Like, we have to take chances if you're gonna hustle and try to be independent in any way. You're gonna have to take some calculated risks sometimes, is what I call them.
Well, and
Um,
like you said, the investing a little bit because there's so many opportunities, and it might
yeah,
not be gig work or not, but like three of them I can easily think of, and it costs a little bit. But in 2008, 2009, I got my real estate license. It only cost me $1,100 for 7 courses. Did them all online. 2 weeks I was done. I did a like crash course, so $1,100 plus another 400, so 1,500 because I took the state exam and federal exam, and with $1,500 you get a real estate license. The only
yeah,
difference is after you get that, then you just gotta be under a broker and get your experience, network, do all that stuff. You can like a big one, especially if you're in a good market like here in Austin, mobile notary. You can get yourself to be a notary. It's not that hard, not that expensive, and then you can be your own boss and seek out people that need notaries, and they pay more for you to go out to them.
yeah,
And
yeah,
you
yeah.
even simple like getting a drone and doing drone shots for insurance purposes or for real estate and all that. Like there's so many different ways to make money, and that's why I want people to think about is like how can you work the gig gaps to work for you in the future. Like you're doing that to get somewhere else because
Mm.
the gig apps they're gonna change all the time. They're gonna be worse. They're gonna be better. I'm not gonna say they're gonna be better per se, but
Mostly worse. Mostly worse.
yeah.
Yeah, mostly.
And
Yeah.
just like this envelope thing, it's eventually gonna be the laws are gonna change. It's gonna not work anymore. Like this isn't a
Mm.
20-year plan. You just gotta evolve and keep going on. So for me, I'm always thinking and looking out for the next thing. And like if I'm at Walmart or something, like I used to be a full-time, well, kind of full-time Amazon and eBay seller. So if
Yeah.
I see a good deal, I just scan it and I'm like, oh, I can make $20 off this, put it to
Yeah.
Amazon, and
Yeah.
just and like you, like I just wanted like because it reminded me of Tanner, if I think is his name.
Tanner
It,
Markley, friend
yeah,
of mine.
he
Yep.
like is the main thing that is that mindset to where you're doing other things, but then you turn on the app just to go make a few more bucks, to
Yep.
help you out, and might as well, right? But
He
that's
always used to talk about. I've met Tanner several times, and he in some of his videos he doesn't make gig content anymore, but
yeah,
he talks about he would use it to build his business. Or
yeah,
there were some days he turned the apps on to pay for his lunch that day, and
yeah,
that's a smart. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't dependent upon. And there's nothing wrong with being dependent upon all the apps for all your money, but he wasn't dependent upon it, didn't want to be dependent upon it for most of his income. He's like, hey, I'm going to Chipotle today. All right, you know what? I'm going to do these couple orders. I'm going to wait at Chipotle. I get something. Boom. I just paid for my lunch, you know, or I'm going to take my money that I do gig work, couple hours a day, 7 days a week for a year or two, like he did it. And I'm going to save my money and then I'm going to invest it into my shoe company or, you know, so, you know, he's really leveled up his life and he used the gig economy in some parts to do that. So.
Yeah, like you were telling mindset, the same thing, like take a couple hours
Yeah.
here and there. Like if you
Yep.
wanted to try this envelope thing or you research it and do it, a book or a coil of stamps is it's $75 or so for 100 stamps. 100 stamp, that's about $500 worth if you do the work correctly, right? That's kind of expensive to start out. But like you said, hey, you know what? Every day, just take out $7, and you know after 10 days, you have enough to buy a thing of stamps, and then you know you really don't notice that. Instead of a meal, you do that, and then you invest that little bit, do it, forget about it, make sure see if it works and all that, and then if it doesn't, what's the worst? You'll be out $75 or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm talking about, taking chances and just using
Yeah.
the gig, like being a different mindset instead of bitching about it's bad, it's good and stuff, like getting out of that like worker mentality. And instead of being like I had it written here, but like because the other thing too I was gonna say is the other about transparency stuff. I love the Instacart because they're basically transparent. You basically see the tip, the items, all that stuff.
You do
They're
right from the beginning. You see the items, the
it,
tips. Yeah. Yeah.
exactly, and that's why I like. But then the downfall to that, other than your metrics or your level, is it's a free for all. You know, it's first come first serve. You know,
It
so
is.
I have a feeling most DoorDash drivers, Uber drivers, they probably wouldn't like that if that happened on DoorDash. If DoorDash started putting out orders and they had to be quick and like keep on, they don't want that. And if they're
Yeah.
transparent with all the orders, they could do it like Uber was doing radar and stuff or like bidding for
Yeah.
jobs and stuff. So like that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Be careful what you want because DoorDash may not do it to where now they're giving you offers just for you.
Exclusively.
So
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point because we have to understand these companies, especially DoorDash, they're gonna figure out ways, okay, well, we have to pay more into this or we have to do this. They're asking for this. Well, how can we still win?
Yeah,
They're not gonna lose. They're not gonna lose. Okay.
and
Billion dollar companies don't lose.
as a
So
reseller, we have a term called it's a race to the bottom. You don't like you if you have a certain item high, then somebody undercuts you, somebody undercuts you, and then it gets to a point where everybody is undercutting each other to where you're not going to make any money anymore. And so like if DoorDash implements a certain system and they start bidding to where everything's let's say flat $5, and then people keep taking them and like well then they have no incentive to raise it, you know, to
right.
anything,
It'll
you
be
know.
450 next year. It'll go from
Exactly.
$5 to 450 or
Of
something.
course, the
Yeah.
tip thing is a little different and stuff, but and the
Yeah.
only other thing too is I know for me I don't like it anyway, but the other way that we can go against like the tipping and make sure people tip, get back to because this happened I think mainly because of COVID. I don't remember prior it being that way, but maybe stop having the end for the fraud stuff, the leave at door. you know, that way they
Yeah.
have to look at you in the face for the tip shame, and then also they can't say, "Oh, I never received it," or like it's the wrong place. No,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just think we lost in our society shame, and people don't care because they can hide behind the door. You don't have to meet people,
Well,
and
it's so easy now, man. You know, like you can
yeah.
have anything delivered, Amazon, everything, anything you need's 2 days now or less, or 30 minutes or less if it's delivery or something like.
Well,
And people hide behind those curtains, man. You know, and oh, I didn't, and they'll just wait for us to drive off, and then they'll just grab
yep.
their pizza bag.
And the main
It's
thing
yeah,
is
man.
because of how
Yeah,
many drivers there are, you like unlike your local pizza place like it used to be back in the day, you're it's not a regular customer. You know, you get somebody new every single time, and
you do.
so you don't
Yeah,
have to really worry about oh okay I don't you probably won't see them again for maybe another month or two. So,
yeah. That's a good point.
but
That's a good point.
anyway, get off now. I appreciate the time and
Hey man,
I'll
I appreciate the topics and changing it up a bit and
yeah.
giving us that knowledge of those little hustles there. And anybody wants to look it up, I saw some people type in and they know a
I'll,
little bit about it. But I
I'll say
appreciate
it.
that you bringing
Yeah,
it up, Ryan.
the people that bring it up, just so you know, it's not a scam. It's 100% legit. Depending on where you live, some states don't allow
Sure.
it. By the way,
Yeah.
just read the rules, read the research and stuff, and
Do your
I'll
own
go ahead.
research, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, have them
exactly.
do their own research. Yeah.
Take your own
Yeah.
chances, and I'll email you the quick 2 second thing about it, and so where you can look. So, all
Appreciate that, man.
right,
Thanks, man. Have a
no
good
problem.
rest of your Sunday night.
You too. Go Bears,
All right,
by the
man.
way.
Yes, sir. We'll see you tomorrow night. Yes,
Can't
sir.
wait.
All right, my man Ryan with the Go Bears. Listen, I'm a Bears fan. I'm from Chicago. If you can't know, I got Michael Jordan right here, right? Yeah, we got a game versus Vikings tomorrow in Chicago. I should have gotten tickets to that, but I didn't. I'm lazy and broke. Anyways, no. Appreciate it. Okay, so Dash and Dave is up next. We're going to hold on one second. Let me. Right, hold on. We got the live chat still going. Appreciate y'all for listen. We got a longer. You know what's interesting, and I know she's sleeping already, so I can say this. Okay, today's been like a long day, a great day. I went to church. There was an event after church, at the church, like this party stuff. It was really, really cool. We had some friends come and meet us. I went to the park, played basketball for 2 hours outside, came home, did a couple things, took the family out and friends out to dinner, came back, had to put the baby. It's been an amazing day today. Amazing. And it got to be like 8:30. Okay. And I was like, man, I'm a little tired, you know? That second wind hadn't hit. I'm like, man, I could go to sleep. Like I could literally, I was like, I could take a shower and go to sleep and I'll be knocked out in 5 minutes, right? I told Madison, I put the baby to sleep, you know, or she's 4, not a baby. And I was like, yeah, I'm going downstairs. I'm gonna start my live. I was like, I'm probably gonna be like an hour, hour and a half. I've been on for almost 2.5 hours, right? And I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, like, my mindset going in was like, I'm gonna make this kind of a short show, and then like, it's not short, and I'm loving that. It's a great way to end the week. So, all right, let's bring Dash and Dave up. I think he's ready. Can I get a thumbs up, Dash and Dave, if you're ready? Appreciate you, Dash and Dave. Thanks for waiting, man. How you doing tonight? Oh, you're on mute. Hold on. Let me see. Hold up. Hold up.
Sorry
Unmute.
about
There you go. Now you're
thank
good. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I'm very humbled to be on the channel. First time caller, long time listener.
Hey,
Good shit.
I appreciate you being here, man. And I see that you're out. Are you out there hustling, working, or are you doing something else right now?
Yeah, actually, I'm in a Van Wilder parking lot, just chilling. Now that I'm on here, it's got to be safe. You got to be safe when you do this stuff. But yeah, I
Yes,
just got
sir.
a upside down order, but it was a long one. It was $18 for 20 miles. I wasn't getting much, but $20 almost in the pocket's nice. You know what I mean?
Okay, okay, okay. What do you got? What do you got on your mind tonight, man?
Same old stuff. But I will comment on what the other people are saying very briefly. For Random, he is the truth. That was pretty cool that he let us in on a little bit of the secrets. But he
Yeah.
on Pokemon cards too. Let me go ahead and do that. He did hit on Pokemon cards too, and yeah, even if you don't buy and open them, if you just grab a pack and just keep them sealed, yeah, you can get a decent amount if you hold on to them. So
I've heard that. I know Pokemon cards were really big back in the day, and then like they have kind of a resurgence over the last several years, right? Is that right?
oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
2020 hit. You can't find any of them. I opened them on stream
yeah.
actually. A $200 card just the other night, which is crazy.
That's
But you
crazy, man.
go full with you get packed. You know, it's like with anything. You take risks, and sometimes you get
Yeah,
rewards.
yeah.
Also, I will say I'm a Prop 22 like in favor of
Okay.
that. I kind of feel like it's comparable to the server, American server uh, format, where you know we don't really get that much hourly pay when you're a server. I've been a server a long time when I was
Yeah.
close to my career. What am I doing? Sorry, I didn't use this. Um, and it's the Prop 22, you're not getting that huge like a huge check at the end of the night, but like 275 for its a server at the end of the week is really freaking nice.
Mm-hmm.
So and I like that, but not to get into too much detail on that. Last thing on other people's point is I'm big in union. I also feel like that's just insurance. Like
Mm-hmm.
Chris Rock said, case two pack. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I've had 2 jobs where I worked a union. I paid into the first one the whole time, never needed it. The second time, I needed it for health reasons, and it was kind of like having a lawyer. Us poor people can't afford a lawyer, so having a small union fee really helps out in that front. And the
That's a good point. Yeah.
I had to fight them to fight for me, but eventually they got off their butt and you know they took care of it and everything was good. But it's nice to have it, but just like insurance, you're going to be paying for stuff that in case it doesn't happen, it's just going to go into a hole.
Mm.
But my question is for you, if you could be I do DoorDash a lot, so I'm gonna be talking about that, hence the name. If I could wave my magic wand and you could just do one kind of format and what they have right now to make it for the drivers just a little bit better for pay and or just overall taking orders is easier. I know what I would do. Is there something? Would you want me to go first, or would you want to go first?
I would love to hear you. I would love to hear your. I would love to hear your idea first, and then I'll go from there.
Sure. I watch a lot of content creators when it comes to gigs. You being number one, there wouldn't be a Door Dashing Dave if there wasn't Mr.BetonYou. Just to let you know. Like
That's very
honestly,
kind of you.
you are the reason why I'm in it. For I was doing dashing, but doing content creating, doubling up hand in hand. I wouldn't exist if it wasn't for you. But
It's very humble to hear you say that. Thank you.
I'm sure you heard of my driver. What was it? My driver Matt? I
Mike?
think his name is.
Hold on. Driver Mike or my driver
Mike.
Matt?
That's it. My
Mike,
driver
yeah,
Mike. Yeah.
yeah.
He made a video where he was getting $200 to do 20 orders on DoorDash, and he doesn't do DoorDash very often. So I've noticed a lot of people who don't do DoorDash full time get those kind of incentive kind of offers.
Yeah.
And if I were to, as a veteran, get something that would even just be a fraction of that, to do even the 20 orders, it would make taking those $2 orders a little bit more palatable. And the main thing that I would like say would be gamifying it. I mean, if you want the youth to come into this gig world, you're going to have to try something like that. And you could even advertise to the gaming world, you know, the gamifying stuff. Like on my on my dashing channel, I gamify my chat and give them stars. These little frivolous things keep our morale going. It keeps the momentum going. So if they would add little like quests like that on DoorDash more for the veterans, I feel like they would keep them more. But we both know that they signed up these big wigs to gauge out how many old veteran drivers they need and new drivers they need just to maintain that good share for their companies. I'm a smooth brain dummy, so I don't know exactly how it works. I just know the rules are there. But that's what I would do. I would give more like side quests, gamify the damn thing, make it just easier to take those small orders that people don't normally want to take. So
Yeah, I think it's interesting because you're referencing a video I haven't seen, but I know I can already imagine what it's like because I did rideshare when I first started doing the gig economy. I was rideshare Uber first, and then I did DoorDash like a year later after I did Uber. I was rideshare, and then I stopped for like almost 2 years in a row. I didn't do any rideshare, and then I'd get like complete 3 rides, extra $100, or complete
wow, yeah,
6 rides. And I wouldn't get them often. I've gotten them 2 or 3 times. But sometimes when you stop working an app, they want to bring you back, so they give you a great incentive, right? But for a veteran driver like yourself or somebody like me that will always have Uber on or always have Instacart on, I think obviously they know they don't need to give us anything, and we're still going to work the apps. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't need to pull us in. We're already. They can see how often we're active. They can see how many times I turn it on, what time of the day, what time of the week, and if I always got that thing on, whether I'm taking something or not, like they don't need to incentivize you or I to do anything, right? And I think sometimes I've seen DoorDash, at least in the past, because I haven't done it in over a year. But for the veterans, I think some of the things that they've done is they've offered certain within, if you're like platinum or if it's like an Uber thing and you're Uber Eats Pro or you're this, or if you're Instacart Diamond, you get better gas rewards. Or with Uber, they gave me a free Costco membership that I still have because I reached some kind of level. So I think sometimes they offer certain little perks, but most of them aren't monetary per delivery. And I think what you're talking about is like, hey, I'm taking these $2, $3 runs. I just drove 20 miles. Like, give me something to keep me more engaged, like to
that's
keep
it.
me a little, like, give me a little cherry on the top every once in a while. And if you're asking what I think that could be,
Yeah, like let's make
I
believe
think,
that
I think,
the CEOs care about the drivers instead
yeah,
of everything else. They care about
yeah,
us. They want to keep us.
I think, in order to they don't have to do anything to keep a veteran driver engaged because if you're a veteran or if you're full time, you're always going to have the app on. But I think it would be nice if they would say, hey, you know, and they did this with some drivers. When you would reach like 10,000 deliveries, some drivers that have been with the company with DoorDash since day one, they were getting checks like thousands of dollars because they reached 10,000 deliveries. I remember that. People talked about it. Right, but those were like day one DoorDash drivers from 2000 and whatever when the company started. So I think it would be cool if they did something. Hey, you reach 1,000 your first 1,000 deliveries, we give you $100 as a thank you. Hey, you reach 2,000 deliveries, you get something, right? I think if they get some benchmarks with lifetime deliveries or a benchmark, hey, you've been on time for your last 100 deliveries. Here's a $10 bonus, a thank you. I think if they did some things tied to that that would incentivize drivers at certain times beyond just AR, which is not always fair. I think that would be interesting. That would be cool. You know, I think there's a lot of drivers that are veterans that reach 1,000 deliveries, 2,000, 3,000. I know a lot of people that have content. They've reached over 10,000 deliveries. I reached, I think, 11,000 deliveries on DoorDash before I was deactivated. It would have been nice for them to, yeah, if they would have been like, hey, you did 10,000 deliveries. Thank you so much. Here's this. I think that would be a nice, a good PR thing that they could talk about. It's a tax write-off if they chose to it, right? So I think if they did something to that level, that would kind of make sense, and it wouldn't cost them a lot of money to do something like that, you know?
Oh yeah, and they do it all the time, like you said. So it would be so much easier. But that's really all I want. I'm just so excited to be on here. So I will let you get to other
Listen,
people.
man,
But
I appreciate the support and coming on, and yeah. So you said you have a YouTube channel. Is it gaming? Is it gig? Is it both? You have a couple channels. What do you have?
I've done both. Yeah, GameVine
Okay.
is my board game and video game channel that I have. I've done for 10 years. It's my baby, but I haven't done much with it. But Dashing Dave is the one that I basically go nightly live. I would be live right now if it wasn't for being honored and knighted by Mr.BetonYou right now.
Oh no, bro.
I'd rather
Listen,
be
this
here.
is it's open to anybody. This channel is as much yours as it is mine, especially these lives. But I got a question though, because
Sure.
I've been watching TikTok and I watched some Costco people on TikTok, or not
Mhm.
Costco, Instacart. Is there somebody that does Instacart that you've collabed with at some point on TikTok or
No,
YouTube? Okay.
the benefit of having a very common name is I get to leech off other people that are that
Yeah,
sound
okay.
have the same
Okay.
name.
Because he mentioned in a video I saw, he mentioned uh uh Dashing Dave or something. We're going live, and I was like, is this maybe it's the same guy? I don't know, but okay, I was just double
Maybe.
checking. So
I've been going hard. I did my very first 24-hour stream, but I did it in 27 hours because again, it's important to get rest and not drive your 2-ton weapon on the street if you're tired. But
no,
I did my
very
first
important.
24-hour
Yeah.
stream. I only got $275, but my car broke down and needed another starter, and that cost
Oh
me
wow.
700. So I
Yeah.
I was on my grind. So I was like, fuck it.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
screw it. We'll do it live. I'll run the stream, and I'll try to make the money back the whole time. And
Yeah.
then I've got some momentum, but I'm humble. I'm happy to be out there and having anybody watch. Honestly,
Yeah. I appreciate you coming on, man. Be safe. Have a good rest of your Sunday night, and I hope to see you again, man.
I definitely be in the chat. See you later, bud.
Appreciate you. All right. What a live. What a live. All right. Roy came back. Let's see what he's got to say. Maybe he's mad. I don't know. You know, Roy. You know, maybe I said something. He's like, oh, you know, I got to come back up there and get Pedro now. You know, let's see what he's got on his mind. Roy, what's up, man? What do you
No,
got? What do you got? What do you
man,
got? You gonna yell at me? Come on.
no, it was a question for mindset that proves
Okay.
the perfect point why these companies don't need to give you transparency. He told the first story he came up and told
Yeah,
that he
$6.
took a delivery and then he found out later that it was that big giant order. So my question
Yes.
was going to be for mindset, why did you take the order? You didn't need the full transparency to take that order. So what was your reasoning for taking that order? Because at the end, he said he was pissed off and he was mad at her, but then he found out how much she tipped and he felt embarrassed. So that was my question. So that proves the point that that's why these companies don't give it to you, because they don't need to. He proved the point. He would take that order regardless. And he didn't need the full transparency to take that person's order. And he still took it. So my question to him would have been, what was your reasoning for taking that order in the first place?
Mm.
And the second question would be, if there would have been full transparency, you probably would have missed out on that $40 order or $40 tip, because somebody, how many dashers or whoever do you think dropped that order prior to him getting it and it meeting whatever standards he had to take the order?
Maybe it's interesting because I think if we see everything, somebody else might have declined it, is what you're saying, or
Yes.
they accepted it, got there like, oh my God, 6 bags? Nah, I'm not doing this. Cancel, and then they leave without knowing it was $40. Yeah, it's hard to say. You know, I think
Yes.
I think the law of averages and balance. If you do this enough over the course of weeks and months and years, like you're gonna win some and lose some. But yeah, to your point, they don't have to do they don't have to show because somebody's gonna accept it. And then it's
Exactly.
just a bonus. It's a bonus at the end. And I think Dash and Dave talked about the gamification and gaming things and like make it fun. The apps know that a lot of people that do these apps like games and they play games, and it becomes a game trying to figure out, and it's a rush of excitement. Oh my God, it's $40! Yay! Oh my
Yeah.
God! And then we get to the car and Pedro makes a video because I got a hidden tip, and it becomes fun and exciting, and then it keeps you more engaged in the app. Oh my
Yeah,
God, I
it
can't
gives
wait
you,
for my next banger, my next unicorn.
yeah.
You know what I'm
It's
saying?
like that. It's like that hit of meth. You get that hit. Oh my God, I've got this big order. The next one might be the same, or let me see how many I can do before it gets
It's a
there again.
rush, man. Yeah, it's definitely
But it
that.
but
It's
it definitely
definitely that.
proves the point. It definitely proves the point. They don't need to show you this, that people are going to take these orders regardless
Yeah,
of whether
but I mean, they should show it. They don't need to. You're right. They don't need to, and they know that. These companies know that. They pay people a lot of money
yeah,
to make these decisions and put the software in and show this and not show that. And they have, I'm sure, quarterly meetings. Okay, what are we working on here with the app? What's this? What are the drivers? And they talk about us very small amount of time, right?
oh,
But
yeah.
like they know what they can get away with. And should we allow it? Should
Well,
we not? I think that's part of the legislation, I'm
yeah,
assuming. But
but you guys sign yourself away when you sign those terms of service, so that's what
sure,
gives them
sure.
that gives them their out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So yeah, but I just
absolutely.
wanted to
We
ask him
sign it
that
away.
to see what his parameters were for taking that order. Like, was it a money smile thing? Was it I'm
Well,
trying to keep my AR up thing?
I
Or
think I
did I need?
remember saying, and Mindset can correct us. I think he said it was part of a stack or a triple. Because on DoorDash, they sometimes will send you 2 or 3 at
Yeah,
once, or they'll send you 2 and then they'll add one. And he didn't see a plus sign, but I think the reasoning behind it was because it was part of a combination of orders. I could be wrong, but maybe that's why he took it, because it was like combined.
yeah.
But yeah, I think that's what happened. But yeah, it's
But
interesting
yeah,
though, for
I just
sure.
thought that would have been an interesting question to ask him, because it just kind of proves the point where everybody's whining about the transparency, that they don't have to, and people will still do what they want them to do. So
Yeah. Yeah, I saw you and Bobby going at each other in the chat. I think it's great, man. I think we got to remember, like it's okay for us to have like a different opinion and to challenge and question one another. I know you're always for that. I like it. I don't
yeah,
always like when somebody doesn't and I don't think they're right, but at the end of the day, like that's good. We need that in this in on the YouTubes or in America. Like it's okay for us to like talk about things and not always agree or go back and forth. I think it makes us stronger. I think it's good. I think it makes for a good balance. I don't want everybody to always agree with me. I know you don't want that either. There's no fun in that. I don't learn anything if I'm just talking to people that always just agree with me. Like that's not good. So I saw you guys going in there back and forth a little bit, and I think
well,
that's a good thing.
my biggest thing with transparency is I'm all for you seeing all your money. That's cool. That's cool. My whole thing is that having to see what the customers paid, got to see all the breakdown of everything the customer paid. That is unnecessary.
I
You
agree. I agree.
that is going too far to me. And so
Yeah.
to sit there and fight for something that's going that far, to me is kind of corny. Fight for the little things, or the things that are going to make you more money. Because seeing how much the customer paid, how much they paid for the ride, the breakdown of this tax, does nothing to do for make your pockets fat. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's so
Yeah. I agree. All right, Roy. Appreciate you, man. I got Monkey waiting.
All
I'm
right,
gonna let him up. I think he's gonna be the last one. Have a good night, man.
All right, go. All right, see you.
All right, we got. I'm just gonna say Monkey. I don't know how to pronounce the other part of that, but he's been waiting for a minute. Let's bring him up. What's up, man? How you doing?
Yeah. Oh, hey.
Hey, how's it going, man? What you got on your mind tonight?
Oh, not a whole lot. What was it? Oh, yeah. You didn't hear about that new test DoorDash is doing yet?
No, I haven't. Tell
Or
me
not
about it.
DoorDash. No. So
Or
what
Uber.
they're
Or is
Uber.
it Uber, yeah.
It's on the Uber website right now. They're basically trying to kick people off for not having a high acceptance rate.
On
They're
Uber?
doing, yeah, Uber Eats specifically. It's not related to Uber Taxi. It's Uber Eats, and they're going to have an offline map. I sent it you the link in the YouTube chat a little bit ago, so you can read up on it. But basically, it's in a few cities that they're testing it right now, and instead of like DoorDash where you have to schedule hours, it's just if the maps doesn't say very busy and you're not say like a platinum Uber Eats driver, they're going to basically say, okay, you can't get on because they want people to accept instead of, and because they're probably getting tired of people declining all the time.
Interesting, because with Uber, you always can just get on. At least in most markets, from what I understand, you just online, offline. There's never a schedule. There's never any of that. You know.
Yeah, no, they're right now. There's no schedule, but that's what they're doing, and I think it's to try to get people to start accepting the trash, just like the way DoorDash does it. And then if you're not going to do it, just do not be driving for us. And then they even show an example of say you're in a zone that's segmented, you go to a busy zone, and then if you try to drive to the one they say is not busy. My understanding is they're just going to kick you. They're just going to make you log off unless you're platinum. It'll say only for platinum or whatnot. Now
That's interesting. Can you do me a favor if you can? Can you because if you put it in the live chat, I'm not gonna. It's gonna be hard for me to do that link. Could you email me what you're talking about?
yeah. But there's
Okay.
another YouTube. But I found out about it from an actual another gig tuber that
Okay.
started talking about it, and I believe they started the test last month on the 27th, if I remember correctly. It's all there on that thing, and it's
Okay.
just them, and it's them basically to an extent, I think, copying Uber. I mean, not Uber, DoorDash, where
DoorDash.
if you're not going to accept enough, just get off and stop driving, basically, because that's what
Interesting.
DoorDash wants.
Yeah, because
Basically.
I have on Uber, I just keep it on all the time, right?
Yeah.
When I'm doing Instacart or whatever, and if I see something, I take it. If I don't, and my acceptance rate last Thursday or Friday got done 0%. I got it back up to 7 this week, and it's right now it's at 1% right now because I just declined so much because it's not. But I'm online, but there's sometimes I'm online for like 8 hours a day, and I do 2 deliveries, or sometimes I might do 4 or 5 deliveries, right? But
Yeah.
like I'm online all day long, but I'm not active. So you're saying the app sees that I'm online. You're not taking anything. You're declining, and they might stop me from being able to get online. Is that what you're saying?
It's based on your acceptance rate, like DoorDash, basically.
Yeah. So if it's really low, like mine's 1% right now, then I probably won't be able to go online.
Unless they deem the area to be busy, because they show you that there's like 3 different levels, and there's like this gray zone where basically saying this is only for, I think, like, I forget what the stats are, but basically like a platinum level or whatever it's called on there, and then they'll say then you can log in whenever you want. But if you fall below that and your zone's not indicated as busy, they're gonna say you can't log in until it gets busy. And if it updates, and like, and I don't know if this is how it works, but however they update it, maybe if you decide I'm going to start accepting everything, and then if it updates, say every 10 minutes or something like that, and then they say, okay, it's no longer busy, are they just going to start kicking you off then?
Yeah, it's interesting because even on Uber Eats, there are times where I'll be in the middle of a delivery and it will like pause my request pause. It'll say request pause, and I have to go back in and like unpause it. Or there are times that it will just kick me off, but I'm always able to get right back on.
Yeah, and they're
Actually,
going to start preventing that
yeah, it's
unless your zone's
interesting.
busy. And
It's
my
interesting.
understanding from reading the article, I don't think it's related to rideshare yet. Specifically, only Uber Eats, as far as I'm aware.
For for food delivery. That's interesting. Well, I
Yeah,
appreciate you bringing that up to me, and I'll definitely do some looking into that, and
yeah,
might have to
and
make a
then
video about it. Yeah.
yeah, and then like I was telling you before, I also wanted to bring it into regulating because they're not regulated, they're trying to put if they're regulated, they wouldn't be allowed to be doing this kind of thing.
Mm,
Because they're not unregulated, they're taking advantage of it, and they're taking more of our independent contractor freedoms away.
mm,
It's like
yeah.
DoorDash, because if they were regulated, they're told you can't do anything based on the acceptance rates, which I thought they weren't even originally allowed to until DoorDash started doing it. Where
Yeah.
like how are we really an independent contractor at that point? They're like, you accept or get off, accept or get off.
Well,
Like what?
that's the argument that some have for the metrics being gone, because the major metrics some think on DoorDash is AR, because it's so heavily weighted with the tiers, and then or do you have to schedule, or can you just get on anytime? Like the advantages you have of being a top tier DoorDash driver, which you also have to meet the metrics of so many deliveries per month, so many AR, such AR. That's the issue that some people have, and I mean I understand it. I think there's legitimacy there, you know. I just, you know, I think I'm just, you know, it's interesting because we're independent contractors only in the sense of for taxes, okay? Because how we're treated isn't that way. But I think there's a lot of other independent contractor work that is not the same with metrics how we are treated, but there are metrics in it. So I think that's how DoorDash gets away with it. So I think we have to remember these companies, they're not stupid, and they'll get away with things. They'll get caught, they might pay a fine, you know, they steal tips, they pay a fine. But like,
Mhm.
I don't believe, and once again I could be wrong, they're not going to do something that's going to be that will lose them their business. You know, like they know what they're doing. And there's ways around the law and the way things are written, and there's fine prints that some of us might not even know about. So, you know, I think it's interesting that Uber's going that route. I'm not surprised by it, because it's a way for them to get the trash delivered. And there's a lot of trash out there on all these apps, and they want us to be busy little bees. They don't want us cherry picking because it's not good for their business model. Because they know most
Yeah,
of their business is a $5 order or less. So it's interesting though. I'll definitely look into it, man. I
yeah.
appreciate you bringing that to us tonight.
And then and I got a feeling that if it happens, if in their because it even lists the cities test markets, and it's the real common cities that Uber does a lot of tests for. And I got a feeling if it's successful, who's to say they're not going to say, okay, now we're going to put it to the ride share.
Yeah, we'll see. I wouldn't put anything past any of these companies
Yeah, and
implementing anything that's going to get us to stay more active on the apps and make them more money. Because the
yeah,
more that
but
we're active, the more money they make off the percentages and the
instead of just
fees.
paying us better, if they would pay people better, they wouldn't be declining so much. But they're never going to. They don't care.
No,
They're not.
because most of all, or if most of what we make all comes from the customer. So the base pay usually is some kind of delivery fee or a fee they got from the merchant, and then 70% of what we make on mostly is all tips. So their business model is already set up that way. So
Yeah,
it doesn't surprise me.
yeah. It doesn't. Yeah, when I heard it and they just started doing it, I was like, no, no, no. So that's when I went to Uber's website and was like, nope, they're really doing this. It's not a joke that they're testing this out.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Well, I appreciate
Yeah,
you bringing that to us, man. Have a good rest of your Sunday night, and thanks for waiting, brother.
yeah, not a problem.
Thanks, man. All right, monkey with the it's weird calling a guy monkey, but with some knowledge there. Yeah, I think, you know, let me see, let's do that real quick. Get that off. Listen, this is I mean, we've been back for what? I think this is our fifth show in 6 weeks. I missed one live. So over the last month and a half, we've done 5 shows. Yeah, 5 shows in 6 weeks. And I think this is the longest one. We're approaching 3 hours. This feels like old school lives from 2022. I feel like I just went back in 2, 3 years ago when we used to do these every week. I do 3, 4 hour lives sometimes. It feels like that, and it feels good. Getting my legs back into the live game, and it feels good. I really enjoy these lives. I like the interaction. I give you guys a place, and a lot of other people do it in this community, but a place to talk in the chat, because I know you guys have your own little conversations going on in the chat. It gives you a place to come and listen to it. Listen if you're watching the replay or whatever, right? Watch it on 2x speed on a replay. watch it while you're doing whatever. I appreciate being one of the people that can do that for you guys. Tonight was a good show. We didn't solve any problems, and there are problems. But at the end of the day, man, you know, the irony is, and I stand by this. Most of this work is better than it is bad. Because if it was that bad, we wouldn't do it. There's a lot of smart people in this chat, a lot of smart people watching, a lot of smart people listening on a replay. Okay? You're smart. And if something was that bad, you don't have to do that. You don't have to turn the apps on. You don't have to work for DoorDash. There are opportunities. I know the employment report that came out wasn't great, but in doing the food delivery, there's opportunities. And then there are places hiring still. There are certain sectors that aren't. There are people that are laying people off. But there are opportunities for you. I promise you that. And if it was that bad, we wouldn't be doing it. It's just, we all like to complain, myself included, you. Okay, we're never going to be all the way happy. We're all trying to achieve something that sometimes might be unattainable or unrealistic, or we always want to be heard. It's called water cooler talk. Most of you have had a regular job. You had a break room or you had an office, and you, just like the movie The Office Space, you wanted to take the copy machine out back and beat it up. Those guys did it. But while those guys in that movie were complaining, they were all still working there. Some of them got laid off in that movie, some didn't. They're all still working. We all need to earn. We all got to eat. We all got friends, family. We all got somebody that relies on us in some way or another. And most of us that are doing this have a kid or a spouse or a mom or dad or brother or sister that you're caring for, you're a provider for in some way or always. So we got to do what we got to do. That's it. If we try to change too much, we might be worse off a year down the line. Because I believe when I look at legislation that other cities have had, they're worse off. The only place that delivery drivers are not worse off is California Prop 22. And that's going to piss some of y'all off that I said that. But I think about it. They got what they wanted. Other legislation that doesn't look like that, it destroyed the marketplace. Customers stopped tipping or stopped ordering. Companies have said, we're just going to move out. And in the last hour, they stay, or they stay, but then they take something else away. We got to be careful with what we ask for. I feel grateful and blessed that I don't need that all of what I desire out of monetary ways of making money doesn't come from food delivery. But I've worked for that too. And I challenge you guys, like I challenge Mindset, take 2 hours this month. And I've made a video about a month and a half ago, where I challenge you guys for the rest of the year to try this for this. I've done this actually several times over the last 4 years that we've been on YouTube, or almost 5 years, approaching 5 years, I think. 5 years? Yeah, 4 years on YouTube. I've done it every 6 months or so. I make a video trying to challenge you guys. You don't have to just do this. What about this? What about that? What about this? What about that? Like, there's a lot of opportunities out here. And that's not to say food delivery is like, for some, that's all you need to do, and that's fine. But for most, you're going to have to level up in some way, And people don't like when I use the stepping stone thing because they're like, well, Pedro, you're still doing food delivery. Where's your business? Where's this? Why aren't you employing people? And I get that. But all my money doesn't come from food delivery. And I'm working less in food delivery now than I was when I started the YouTube channel. I was working 7 days a week for like 9 months. I don't work the weekends. I might occasionally turn the apps on here and there, but for the most part, I don't work Saturday and Sunday. I didn't work this Saturday and Sunday. So, like, I say that because there's other things I've been able to add into the portfolio of money coming in every week or every day, to where it's not all DoorDash, all Uber. I mean, I've been deactivated on DoorDash. I got deactivated a couple of months, maybe 2 months ago or so, 5, 6, 7 weeks ago from Spark. Still ticking, still making money. Like, these apps are what we give them. The energy that we give them, good or bad, the emotions that we give them, the time that we give them, that's all they are. It's an app on a phone. And all I really want is I want them I want them to have a deactivation policy that isn't as AI driven, that does have a human element when we ask for it. Because there's many times you might get deactivated and yep, I know exactly what I did, don't care, and you don't need to hit the I need to talk to somebody button or whatever, whatever we want to call it. We need that. We're humans. We're servicing humans, right? Humans made the app. We need a human touch if something like that happens because a livelihood's been taken away from us. That's really all I want. I can't expect them as an independent contractor to pay me some kind of like guarantee. It's just not going to happen. The Prop 22 thing's very, very unique because of the state that it's in. It's California. Okay, it's different out there. Okay, in New York City has something I'm not ever having St. Louis because it's New York City. These places are the two most expensive places to live in this country. Most parts of Cali, New York City, very expensive. Rent, expensive. New York City, you're spending $4,000 or $5,000 a month for like a 700 square foot apartment if you're living in the city sometimes, unless you want to live in the really really bad parts, and even those places are $2,000-$3,000. So it's different, and it's okay. There can be different rules for different states based on other things that I don't know anything about and that don't impact me, but I think if we do too much, we're going to be really, really, really asking for it a year or two from now. We're going to, oh, what did we just do? What's happening? Like, what do we get ourselves into? Now I'm making less money. Like, so it's interesting. I appreciate y'all. It's been a long day, but it's been a beautiful day. I'll be back on the apps tomorrow for a little bit. Tomorrow won't be a long day because there's a lot of things to do. If you're out there making money, be safe. Make good decisions. Okay. If you only have one or two apps, my challenge, like I challenged mindset, I've said it before, onboard yourself with 3 apps. And out of those 3, you'll probably get on one and see what you can do with that. Or if you're not making money with the apps and your car's being ran to the ground or you're just frustrated with it, find something else. Do some market research where you live. What's another opportunity? In the gig economy, outside of the gig economy, some subcontracting work, a different side hustle, a resell of this, there's a lot of ways to make money with this device. What I hold in my hand, I make hundreds of dollars every single day, even the days I'm not doing the gig economy, hundreds of dollars every day with this. If I can do it with poor lighting and a little laptop and a microphone that doesn't work and an iPhone, I don't even know what this is. This isn't even a new iPhone. If I can do it, you can do it. You guys have a great night.